morning, everybody. We are ready to start. It's delayed a bit, but as you'd understand, Mombasa, sometimes this happens. My name is Basil Langaga, and I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer at the County of Mombasa. I will also be your moderator for this session today. And before we start, perhaps you can get somebody from the audience to maybe lead us in prayer. Any volunteer who could lead us in prayer, yeah. Bishop. Oh, yeah.
Heavenly Father, King of adoration, we give you honor and glory this time that you have given us an opportunity to be alive at this juncture. There were people in the morning or yesternight, but at this hour they are no more. But Lord, we thank you because we planned to attend this gathering and meeting, and you have given us a chance to come and attend. Father, we thank you for that. We don't take it for granted. Above all, Jehovah, for the facilitators who are going to help us and the organizers, we are praying for your divine protection and an insight that whatever we are going to learn here, let it be an impact in our life. Let it be a changing point in our life. Let us see things in a different way, in the way that the Holy Spirit guides us. Father, we thank you and we honor you. Above all, we are praying for this wonderful nation of ours, Kenya, and the leadership of the political elite and the religious leader. Give us peace in this nation. Father, protect the borders of this nation. We are praying all this in Jesus' mighty name. We pray and believe. Amen.
Thank you so much, Bishop. I would, at this juncture, welcome the CEO of the Kenya Association of Resident Associations to maybe give us context of this session today. Karibu.
Time kukuja ili we educate each other. This platform is basically watu kuelimishana so that we can be able to really know what is expected of us as residents of this country and as taxpayers in this country. Kwa majina naitwa Henry Cheng. I work with KARA, that's the Kenya Alliance of Resident Association, and we are happy to host you here this morning. I know a number of you wamekuwa katika mkutano za KARA. I think the last meeting we had here was about a month or a month and a half ago, tukiwa na watu wa Kenya Power, and we had very good discussion. We managed to really get to understand some of the things about is expected of us and what Kenya Power is doing. Sasa tulisema katika ile hali ya kuelimishana, tukuwe na mkutano wengine hivi leo so that we can be able to really get to understand a few things about urban development and mambo za especially control development. So kwa leo, we have very specific issue to talk about, and maybe before I move forward, let me just recognize the presence of Dr. Esther Gitambu, who is seated right here. Daktari is the vice chairperson of KARA, and she's also a resident of Mombasa, and very active citizen kwa mambo ya service delivery. And we are happy that she's able to join us here. We'll also be introducing other speakers that we have. We're expecting Natasha Eri she's represented from Law Society of Kenya. You'll get to know the representative. We're also expecting Imran Suleiman from AK, then Kenya Institute of Planners, Randu. Banalopo Koit is already here with us from NEMA, and also the county government representative is on the way. So we hope that at the end of this session, tutakuwa tumekuwa na enough information, ama ile information that can enable us to really take control of our neighborhoods. Kwa sababu when we talk about issues of urban development, it's about how you want your neighborhood to look like. How you want to decide what to accept and what not to accept. Unajua mara mingi tuko na zile neighborhood ambao initially it was well planned. Watu walikuwa wamejua what is supposed to be where, but then with time unaamka siku moja unapata next to you katika ile boma yako mzuri, mtu amejenga kigorofa ndefu. So inamaanisha number one, privacy imeenda, because now the people living in that ghorofa can be able to see right inside your compound. Mambo za infrastructure zimekuwa affected, kwa sababu as the population increase within a particular area, then tuko na strain on infrastructure, vitu kama water services, vitu kama electricity, even security issues become a concern. So the question that we should be asking ourselves, how do we make sure that our neighborhoods present to us a life of dignity? How do we make sure that we maintain the character of our neighborhood so that ile plan ambayo ilikuwa hapo awali isikuwe affected in any way? So the topic of today is to just make sure that we understand from various experts and various stakeholders what, first of all, controlled development means, what sustainable urban development means, but most importantly, what role can we play as residents of various neighborhoods to make sure that the right things are done within our neighborhood, and if they're not done, we take the right action, because there's an action for every wrongdoing. As Kara, one of the biggest challenge or one of the highest number of complaints that we receive is around issues of uncontrolled development. Now, for instance, I'm sure hapa Mombasa, just the same way it is in Nairobi, kuna watu sahi wamekuja na hii idea that any space ambao wamepata within a particular area, the first thing they think about ni kujenga very high building, ghorofa. They don't care what the zoning regulations is, they don't care what the effect is on the infrastructure, they don't care what the people who live in that particular place think. Kazi yao ni kujenga hizo magorofa and to make sure that they make as much money as they think they should. But there are laws in this country. There are laws governing development, there are laws governing public participation, there are laws governing what you can build where and what you cannot build where. So these laws must be followed. Hatujakataa watu wa invest, hatujakataa people to build what they want to build. But they must be put at the right place and they must be done according to the law. So as a citizen or as a resident of your neighborhood, you have a responsibility to make sure that whatever is happening in that particular neighborhood in terms of development is being done according to the law. Na siku hizi, the issue of public participation is very elaborate. So that before anything is done within the neighborhood, there must be a process of public participation. You must be given an opportunity to be able to say what you think about it. You must be given a chance to be able to really indicate whether you agree with it or do not agree with it. And when you are doing that, you must be able to know what the law says. If the zoning regulation says that you can't build more than 2 floors, you must have that information. So that as you go to public participation, you can raise valid points. You can challenge those people and tell them, tunaona unaweka ghorofa maybe 6 floors. According to the zoning regulation of this particular place, you are only allowed to do 2 floors. Why are you doing that? And who is giving permission to do that? So those are the questions that you need to ask so that you are able to maintain the character of your neighborhood. We know that we work with government because at the end of the day, all these things are done with approval of government. So hata watu wa serikali, we must have a conversation with them. We must tell them, why are you approving something that is not in compliance with the law? And what action can you take in the event that you are not listened to? That's why we have LSK here. They'll tell us what are the legal options we have that are in place to support us and to guide us, and what can we do in the event that our views are not listened to or taken care of. We also have the architects, because at the end of the day, how they want to design easy buildings, they know what the law says in terms of designing a building and where it's supposed to be placed, and they know what is expected of them, even the planners. So we want to have this all-round conversation. At the end of this meeting, to be in a place where we can be able to understand what is the law, we can be able to understand what is our role, and we're also able to understand what options do we have if things are not done according to expectation. So that is the context of our discussion today, and I know that baada ya mkutano, tutakuwa in a better place kurudi nyumbani and be at a place where we can also educate the others who are not here, but most importantly, be alert and be in charge of our neighborhood. Ndio watu wasikuje waweke zile building or development that is not according to what is expected. So if you look at our topic today, role of resident associations, and resident association in this context means communities basically. So whether you have a CBO, whether you have just a group of people who have come together, you do have a role collectively and individually. Because here you must be able to know, as an individual, you have a responsibility and a role. But collectively, you also have a responsibility and a role to play. So you must understand what is this role and how can we play it very effectively in partnership with the various stakeholders and also working with government, whether it is NEMA, whether it is the county government, whether it is the national government. We must know who is responsible for what and how we can work with them. So ladies and gentlemen, natumai nimepeana hiyo context, na after hii mkutano mtakuwa mmeelimishwa vizuri sana, mtakuwa mmeelewa ile kazi ambayo mko nayo, the role you have, na pia what you can be able to do in the event that the law is not being followed. I'm being told kuna gari KAY 900D. Please attend to your vehicle. I don't know what the issue is, but nimeambiwa KAY 900D, I think there's a problem with the vehicle. Please attend to it. So I think with those few remarks, we are now in a better place to understand why we are here. And I just want to encourage you participate as actively as you can, so that you can also be able to share with us zile mambo konazo, as you also listen to our speakers, because nobody has monopoly of ideas, of information. Our speakers, they're just to give us what they know, but you also, we pia kuna zile mambo ambao umejua, so also share with us as much as you can, so that we can have a very robust learning session that will be able to be beneficial to us. So with those remarks, I want to thank you for creating time to be here, and wish all of us a very, very productive conversation and discussion. Asanteni sana.
For giving us that context. And perhaps, maybe I should ask the audience, are you satisfied with the state of development in your neighborhoods? No, yes? A big no. And do you think that, you have the power as a resident to change the state of things in your neighborhoods? And what is limiting you from maybe inspiring this kind of change or changing things in these neighborhoods? Are there any limitations? Any limitations? I would love to hear that. No, there's no knowledge and authorization. So knowledge on what options you have, or knowledge on the laws that guide these developments. Access to the authority. You don't know where the lands office is, or you don't know where the lands office is, or who to speak to in the lands office. Perfect. And that is why we are gathered here today, so that you have this access, you get to get more knowledge on what you can do. And there will be representatives from the government also. Tutatumia lugha zote, Kiswahili na Kizungu. So nilikuwa nasema kwamba leo tutapata hiyo nafasi ya kuweza kujua njia ambazo tunaweza take action on some of these issues. Kutakuwa na easy organizations ambazo pia zinaweza support residents to take the action that they deem fit. And at this juncture, maybe I would invite the representative of the chairperson of the Mombasa Law Society of Kenya to just also give their context in this space, na pia waweze kuwaelimisha ni njia gani ambazo kama Resident Association mnaweza jiunga pamoja na maybe submit a petition, and how the Law Society of Kenya can support some of these community litigation efforts to ensure that whatever action you want to take imepata hiyo backing. Mara nyingi communities may not really achieve what they want to achieve because maybe legal costs ziko juu for the community to take those legal costs, but maybe the opportunities within the law society of Kenya that you can take advantage of ili mweze chukua your option ya litigation if you want it. So the representative from LSK, yeah, thanks. Karibu.
Good morning. Yes, my name is Janet Katisia. I'm a commercial and property lawyer in Mombasa. I'm also the vice chair of the North Coast Rates and Residents Association. So I think I'm home and here with you. So my chairperson has requested me to step in for her. That's Natasha. So I hope we'll have a good conversation. Nasikia, I remember Madam amesema tuongee Kiswahili na Kizungu. Let me try. So maybe just for us to understand that the Constitution guarantees us a right to quality life, a right to shelter, a right to privacy, a right to decency, and a right to use of your property. So the legal framework balances the interest both of the residents, the developer, and the government, because pia serikali has its role to play to provide the supporting services, including infrastructure and all that. Now, for all this, there's one asset which we must use, which is limited, and that is land. So kila kitu ya maendeleo na development inaanza na ardhi mwanzo. So ardhi, who is the owner of it, na mwenye ambaye ana hiyo ardhi ndio atasema vile itatumika, si ndio? So unaona saa ingine we have a big problem of services, manake serikali already gave up their property without having a good plan. For instance, tukiangalia ile barabara ya kwenda Kilifi saa hizi, why did it take so long? Manake they have to do ile inaitwa public acquisition of the property back. The government has to take it back from the people. And remember, the government will tupatia sisi kama wananchi. Na wanatupatia kufanya nini? To make money and to provide housing and to utilize it. So what am I trying to say? All these challenges we're having as residents and even urban centers is because there was no long-lasting proper plan. I think wale ambao wametembea pale nje, not even nje mbali, hata places like Rwanda, South Africa, unaona zile mijengo wametengeneza even 50 years, 60 years, the plan is still there. Hata when you're flying in, you'll see it's very organized, the way it's supposed to be. I think if we have a planner here, they'll tell you, we have those kind of plans. They are there in our government agencies, but they're just not being followed. I strongly believe that if we had followed the previous plans, we would be in a better place than where we are. And all this now affects so many things, including water, your internet, steamer, kila kitu. So, what does this mean for you as a resident? I think right now, after 2010, Mwananchi is in charge. I hope Gen Z amewapatia a bit of motisha that we the people. So I'm very happy to see such forums because it means that now you are taking back control. Many years, all of us will agree. Tumekaa hapa Pwani, tumekaa hapa Mombasa, kila siku tunasema munispa. Munispa ikaondoka tukasema county, si ndio? Wewe ulikuwa ujihusishi, lakini kikija, when it comes to your doorstep, ndio unaanza kucomplain. But anybody in the government will tell you, these plans take 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Ni sisi tumezuba. Do we agree to that? I think you said you're from the county. When you make a plan, it is 10 years ago. 10 years, 20 years. Kibaki alituambia vision 2030. Tulifikiri tutafika. How many years do we have for 2030? 6. Have we achieved where we were going? So, yes. So maybe just to now narrow down on the legal frameworks. Kenya, we have what are called first world laws. Tuna sheria ya kila kitu. And to make it better, tuko na devolution. Inamaanisha Siku hizi si lazima uende Nairobi kupata permit, kupata approval, sijui kufanya nini. We also have our local agencies. This is an advantage, lakini pia it's a challenge. Because if you remember, siku za municipal, somebody from Nairobi is the one who used to tell us where to put the dump site. Can you imagine how we had a dump site in the middle of our city? That's the way we were operating for 20, 30, 40 years. Ikabidi tupate mtu ambao yuko local ndio abadilishe. Do we agree or not agree? Were we living here or not? Huh? So that's one advantage that is there. So please, let's take advantage of that. Now, as I've told you, the laws in Kenya are first class. They cover every single aspect, from acquisition of the property to how it's planned and zoned. Na kila kitu is documented. Sisi siku hizi hakuna siri kwa serikali. We have access to information. It is your right. Si kubembelezana. It is your right to access this information. You ask for these plans. You ask for the minutes. You get involved to understand why we are where we are. Now, part of development, because sisi ni watu wengi na hii rasilimali ni chache. So there are very many authorities. Hapa ndio kizungumkuti. I hope I've got it right. Because ukitaka kujenga wewe, unafikiri unajijengea. Hata siku hizi, ukitaka hata kufix jambo kwa nyumba yako, kuna mtu atakugongea aseme huna permit ya hii, huna permit ya hii, huna permit ya hii. Kweli si kweli? Sometimes tunaiona kama ambao inatusumbua akili, but in the end of the day, huwa tunasema sheria ni kama no, it cuts both ways. So inakuprotect alafu sangine inakushika mahali. So we have to live with it that way. Those rules are there to protect all of us, so that all of us can take advantage and live in a good environment. So the approval process, and now in the approval processes, I think we have NEMA people here, county people. So when you see those advertisements for change of user, you see those advertisements for NEMA, please, it is your responsibility. Don't wait for somebody aje kwako akuulize, what do you think jirani yako anataka kujenga? It is your business. Yeah? Siku hizi tumesema tunaenda online, lakini I think bado gazeti ni muhimu, because that's where most of the notices are. Maybe that's a challenge which the government should look into, a much easier way for us to know what's happening in our neighborhood. Because if you don't read Gazette, you don't read Kenya Gazette, you might not know all these things that are happening around you. So we need to be involved in the approval stage. Then the actual construction, ambao it will happen in your neighborhood, whether it's a road, it's a water plant, it's a building. You see, serikali doesn't have enough eyes to be checking every minute what is happening. Lakini wewe ndio uko hapo next door. Ndio? Ukiona people are not following the correct rules, nyinyi muli approve 4 floors, all of a sudden tuko kwa floor 8. If you don't raise the alarm early enough, it becomes very, very difficult to undo some of these things. So it's your responsibility to be the eyes. And I had somebody asking, where will you report? Right now, all these regulators and agencies, you can even report online, you can report with a letter, and you can visit the government offices. But very important, ni lazima tuwe na documentation. Sawa? Everything you are doing, don't say kwa mdomo. Document, write it down. Get a document to support whatever you are saying. Even if you are saying this thing is on a road access, there are so many people who can help you establish whether it is or not. Let's be factual. Because wakati unaenda na complaint ambayo haijasimama vizuri, it means that agency lazima iende investigate from scratch to establish if you have a valid claim or not, and then now determine it. Yeah? So apart from that is the issue of selling and leasing. Nowadays, I think in Mombasa we have started the sectional properties. What this means is that for high-rise apartments, each house has its own title deed. This is useful kwa mwenyewe because now you can use it on your own and get access to funds and sell and all that. That is fine. Then, so the part as a resident association that you need to be concerned of what kind of leases are we giving out there? What are the usage that is being given by the government, right? What are the terms and conditions? Can they just convert it at any second, right? Can they just be so many people in one place at any moment? So you just need to be keen and ask these kind of questions. Every time pali kuna sheria lazima kuwe ile inaitwa conflict with the law. That means wakati mna mzozano, mna shida, where do you go? And this is one of the key elements ya sheria. So kama una shida ya mambo za environment, where do we go? Does somebody know? Ukiwa na shida ya mtu anajenga next to you, what do you do first? What do you do? Huh? You go to NEMA. NEMA will send you to NCA. NCA will send you to the county. The county will... That's the landscape that we deal with nowadays, because all of them, they work together, but somehow it's like they blame each other to avoid accountability. So as citizens, it's always wise, just write to everybody and let them just sort it out amongst themselves. Because in the end of the day, as a citizen, you have a right to service. It's not our problem how they are going to do it per se. And there are solutions for that. So you can either go to the tribunals. Even nowadays with the issue of rating, they have rating authorities that you can go to on the issues of zoning, planning. So you must have some bit of understanding of how the government is working to know where to complain. For instance, when you complain, like right now I was talking to the NEMA gentleman. Nowadays, when you complain about noise, he'll tell you that is a devolved function. I'm not the one. Go and talk to the county environment department. Is that what they're going to tell us? So you see your problem is not solved, even if all these agencies are in place. So as citizens and as association, it's good for us to know what each department is able to do for you to solve your problem. Another strategy that associations should do is what we are doing right now, which is called civic education. We must educate ourselves about the laws. We must know the rules. And even when we find the laws are not working, we do what? We change them. Yeah? We don't have to continue staying with bad laws just because that's the way it has always been. We must be proactive. Mombasa is the way it is because we were relaxed for a very long time. When the boom came, especially for us in Nyali, we did not expect it. Even here in Vita and Kizingo, I'm not sure you expected it. And look at where we are now. Do you think there's anything we can do? The horse has bolted. But moving forward, we can find a better way to coexist. So we need to be very, very vigilant, educating ourselves. Kara, thank you for this, because these are the kind of forums we need. People need to be aware. Let's not live in silos. Say, oh, my estate, my estate. Today it's my estate, tomorrow it will be yours. So it's better we work in a comprehensive way. The tool that most of us use is to go to the Environment and Land Court. The new constitution has a specific court that takes care of environment and land issues. The advantage of this is that matters are moving faster, and wale judges na magistrates wana ujuzi sana wa mambo za land and environment. So you get very good and technical decisions which you are able to enforce. So let's not shy away from going to court. Najua saa zingine mnaogopa legal fees, lakini pia mtu amefanya kazi lazima alipwe. But you can always have a kitty. Muwe kila mwezi mkuna pesa yenu mnaeka kando for this kind of emergencies when they come. You can seek partnerships. I think your sponsor today is one of them, where they can assist you to do what is called public interest litigation. Even as LSK, we do have those committees whereby we go to court on behalf of the public and don't necessarily charge for it. We have various NGOs that can come and step in and do pro bono cases. So please, you should not sit with a problem and think there is no solution. In Kenya, there are solutions for everything. I've already told you our legal framework is very robust. It's just us who have to take advantage of it. Now, I had somebody complaining that you go to a government agency and you don't get service. What's the next step? Tukienda county, tunapata court, bila mtu, what do we do next? We go home grumbling, mumbling, ama? Well, in the government now, you know, as I told you, Gen Z have reminded us that we are in charge of this country. So nowadays, as I said, document. Make sure you write a letter. Services is not a favor. Even if it's those ones that need to be paid, they need to be paid. We have the Office of the Ombudsman, who is very, very active and is able to help you maneuver, especially when the government agencies are not doing their part in a timely manner. I think where the areas where we need a little bit of more support and energy, both by the government and by citizens, is in the issue of enforcement. We know very well we have building laws, we have issues of riparian, we have all these nice, beautiful laws which are already in place. That's just step one. Step two is the enforcement. Who is enforcing it? And so what happens if they don't enforce it? So this is, for me, what I see is a big gap. And now we are forced to keep on writing and going to court to force people to do their work. I hope you know that even when the ombudsman doesn't do his part, there is a special procedure in court called judicial review, where you compel a public officer to do their work. You get a court order to force them to do their work. That is an avenue available to us. So you must never feel stuck or that you cannot do anything. There are very many solutions right now where we are. Then I think also us as citizens, we need to ask the government to work in tandem, whether it's county and national. There's a lot of duplication. When they're asking for licensing fees, when they're asking for levies, when they're asking to charge you for this, that, and the other, when they're asking to penalize you, everybody is working hard. But when it's on the other side, where we're asking them, okay, you've come, you've penalized us for not putting a signage. So now, when my neighbor is doing something against the same building laws, you find them backing off. So I think even the government, we can challenge them and try, and they need to be using the law, applying it equally and for all purposes and for the good of the citizens. Maybe also as resident associations, we need to now start thinking in a different way. Other jurisdictions where population has grown, you have to change. You cannot do the same thing the same way. We cannot all live in town. We cannot all live in Nyali. We need to open up other areas and make sure there's enough infrastructure. Like somebody was asking me the other day, why do you still need to live in where you live? And I said I live there because there's school, there's hospital, I can get whatever services I need from the government, and so it makes my life convenient. But if I had all these solutions elsewhere, I would have moved. Nobody forces you to stay in town. Nobody forces you to stay in Tudor, but it is convenient for your life. So maybe we need to start thinking of how the government can expand to other areas to give us the services we require, and even to have this infrastructure support out there so that the congestion that we are feeling and the heat we are feeling because of urbanization, it will not pinch us so hard. Because one thing is for sure, our population is growing, our population is young, hopefully they are reproducing, so we'll keep on growing. Yes, so let me stop there. Unless there's any question you have for me.
Let's give a better round of applause here. That was amazing. And maybe our design of our houses could also answer that question. The reason why our population will continue growing is because the houses are designed to ensure that people spend more time inside those houses. The city doesn't encourage you to get out often, and it means that we have a lot of studios, and people have to spend time, and they're cozy, so children will be born, and many of them will keep being born, and our city will continue having these challenges associated with increased urbanization. So thank you so much for, of course, sharing the options with the citizens. I want to take really some very quick feedback from the audience. If there is any key takeaways, if the options have become more clearer to you, and any quick reactions. Maybe I'll take two. I see Mzongo, Old Town.
Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mbwana. I'm the chairman of Old Town Residents Association in the Old Town. Madam Katisia, we worked with her maybe 30 years ago, so she's grown up like me. On the basis that she mentioned about overgrowth developments in Majengo, Nyali, Kizingo, and there was no control. I want to give an example of Old Town, which is very unique. Unique in its situation. Old Town is a buffer zone for United Nations Heritage, World Heritage Center for Jesus. So we are under a UNESCO guideline protection. The National Museums has an arm called MOTCO, Mombasa Old Town Conservation Office. No building within that area goes more than 4 floors, whether you like it or not. So these other residential areas maybe can go to MOTCO, copy-paste, and see whether they can have a building section of the residents that can use certain laws like we do in the Old Town. There's a certain area from For Jesus up to Shikeli Mosque. You can't go more than 4 stories. Whether you have billions of shillings, like simple situations, people will buy a building, break it down, and want to come and build 10 stories. The county will tell them, go to MOTCO. Get your approval plan there, and then we'll authorize. So that MOTCO is a role model that can be taken in all the residents. In future, people can control using a certain, arm of the government. Thank you.
Great. Take it back to the gentleman behind you. Yeah.
Amjamboni. Mina maswali matatu kwa madam about Law Society. Swali la kwanza ni kwamba kama shirika umeongea mambo mazuri, una uhusiano gani na watu wa Mombasa kama residents? Kwa sababu tunakuona hapa mpaka kama, kwa sababu wewe ni mtetesi wa watu, uhusiano wako na Mombasa County kama resident unafanya nini? Umeongea mambo ya participation. How have you been participating in these forums za county na public? Na wewe unajionyesha vipi? Kwa sababu kwa mfano mimi niko hapa, shirika ambalo najua huwa tunakimbia huko, tunaita kituo cha sheria. That is where we know. You are not active like Nairobi. So that you can, na vitu unaongea, this as paperwork. Kama jana, nimeona unasema we have media, what have you. Nimeona pale TUM. Someone is putting on a structure. What as our representative, una mpangilio gani? Umefika pale mahali, ukaona watu wanalia, how you can help them? Because sisi, tuko ni wananchi. Mpaka tuwe na system ya kukutana na wewe. La pili, do you have in hand with Mombasa planning? Kwa sababu Mombasa planning, kama nakumbuka tulikuwa na forum hapo tukaambiwa hajakuja hapa na mpangilio wa county for the last how many years. Na kama ulikuwa wa koloni. Sasa mimi kama mwananchi nikipata kaplot vile bosi amesema, mimi natafuta mchoraji, akishachora nimeenda county na shughulika huku, inakuwa approved. That is a document. Sasa wananchi wale watasuiaje na already county pale kwa ofisi washa approve? This is what is happening. Two, we don't have sewage system in Mombasa, and it's a city. And niuliza hilo swali hapa siku nyingine. For the last kulikuwa na sewage system ile inafanya sahi ni inaitwa Majengo Old Town, na pale hiko mtu tayari amenunua ameweka cold, inayofanya ni ya kipevu. We had to choose that it collapsed nikiwa kijana mdogo mpaka leo. People are coming with mushrooming structures. How are we doing kama mashirika, tutasaidia vipi? Thank you.
Asante sana. Labda hukumwelewa kwa sababu unajua Kenya Law Society of Kenya alikuwa nakupa tu information on how they can, support the initiatives, residents. Hizo responsibilities kama hizo, kuna zile serikali ambayo inafaa ishughulikie mambo kama hayo, lakini yake kubwa ilikuwa ni kukuonyesha kwamba kama residents kuna law, na the biggest law is the constitution that says the people shall, sovereignty of the people, and kwamba wao kama law society wako na njia pia ambazo wanaweza saidia mwananchi, ikiwemo kuna pro bono services wakati mwingine wanaweza kupa kama mwananchi. Kuna ile environment and land court yenye pia mnaweza peleka mambo yenu hapo. Kuna ofisi ya ombudsman ambayo pia inashughulikia masala kama hayo. So yake tu ilikuwa ni njia za kusupport, lakini hapo utakuwa umempea jukumu mingi sana ambazo labda si zake. Mzangu ya mwisho tu, uko sawa sasa? Haya. It was good to give that clarification. And then now, the biggest issue that also came out was uko sawa? Enforcement of these issues, and how the different agencies within government zinafaa collaborate kuhakikisha kwamba ile duplication imeisha, na pia kuungana kuhakikisha kwamba imekuwa rahisi kwa residents to comply, or investors as well to comply with some of these regulations. Hapa nchini kuna bodi ambayo inapewa ile jukumu ya kuhakikisha kwamba there's environmental sounding of most of this infrastructure development that are happening within the country and the county as well. Mara nyingi pia mtu atakuja ajenge, utambua kwamba akona NEMA compliance, lakini nyinyi kama wananchi mnajiuliza NEMA compliance vipi, yet maybe sanitation issues have not been addressed in the way that building is maybe designed, or that infrastructure project is designed. Our address issues around sanitation, that is wastewater. Kuna issues garbage that also come with increased urbanization. So at this level, maybe I would love to invite our colleague, the county director for NEMA, to also just address some of these issues and some of the concerns that you'd always have as a citizen. What qualifies an ESC, is environmental and social impact assessment report? Do all of this happen? And maybe what is the biggest challenge that sometimes you'd see that there was a negative report from NEMA, and then some of this development still go ahead. So ndugu Lopo, karibu tueleze.
Kwa majina naitwa Samuel Lopokoit. Nafanya kazi kwa shirika la NEMA, National Environment Management Authority. Designation yangu ni County Director of Environment for Mombasa County. Na nimefurahi kualikwa leo na watu wa Kara tuweze kuwa na mazungumzo kidogo. We can be able to solve one or two issues, or I can be able to give you some information. Nikitaka nianze, I want to emphasize the importance of Kara and the residential associations. And it is my prayer that these residential associations are strengthened. I always say it is not about government versus Kara, government versus civil society. All of us are working together for the benefit of the citizens, to which government officers are also citizens. Hata mimi naishi Mombasa. Governor anaishi Mombasa, kuna pale ingine anaishi. So I really want to beseech this body to reach out to all the citizenry, because in our societies we have the lawyers, we have the planners, we have guys of NEMA, tuko na watu wa lands, tuko na watu wa kila aina. Na ni hizo estates tunaishingi, hakuna pale ingine tunaishi. Hakuna pale tunasema watu wa serikali wanaishi huku na watu wengine wanaishi huku. We all live in one common space. I know people are so busy, and that is why these residential organizations to me are very important. First, utapata when policies are being done, watu hawako ama wako na mashughuli mingi, vitu zinawapita. So it is prudent for this residential association to hit hard to the community. At least they should be able to support these residential organizations. Wakuwe na pesa, wakuwe na secretariat, so that the secretariat now can be informing the members of things that are happening within the neighborhood as they pursue their endeavors in their own lives. Utapata mtu ameweka billboard, change of use, the whole community was not aware. Guys are waking up at 6, rushing to work, taking their kids. Baada ya wiki mbili hawakuona. Then they start saying, oh. So these residential associations are actually very important. That is what I can say. As government, we are actually pursuing the SDGs, and especially on sustainable cities and communities. I don't want to dwell into that so much. Mimi hapa nataka tukue na mzungumuzo, just one. I'd rather hear from you. For me, niko na points, just 4 points, and then I want to listen from you and maybe answer your questions. Sasa nirudi maneno ya kawaida, what we face, sisi na NEMA, which maybe Kara can assist and maybe tell the members. Kitu ya kwanza ni greenery, green landscaping. I think we have a policy of planting 10 billion trees. I would encourage residential associations to also pick this up and to make it more common to the ground. One of the many complaints I get, even on my own personal WhatsApp, napata mtu amepanda dirisha yake, anapiga picha ya neighbor wake, tap, ananipigia, mbona neighbor wangu anakata miti? Yeye mwenyewe hana miti. He was relying on his neighbor's tree for shade and privacy. So, yeye mwenyewe hajapanda miti kwake, lakini anauliza mbona neighbor wangu anakata miti? Umenipata? So I want to emphasize on Kara to tell their residents about greenery. It also increases property value. Na maneno ya alternative energy, we can go solar. So that is something Kara can also assist, and will also assist as a government. Kitu ya pili ni environmental pollution and reporting, specifically on 3 subtopics, that is on noise pollution, on waste management, and effluent sewage management. I just want to tell everybody, and this is what I want to make it very clear, that sometimes when people complain to a government body, it is really important to know what you're complaining about. I always say when you want a passport, if I want a passport, I will not go to the Ministry of Lands. The Ministry of Lands will not help me. Hata nikiwapatia 10 million. Or they are my brothers and fathers. They do not have that capacity. So sometimes, like today, I've just had a conversation, and I've just said the noise function was devolved to the counties. And that person has completely refused to hear that. It is not the choice of NEMA, it is as per the constitution. Sasa utapata tunapatiwa malalamishi, and when we direct people to the relevant body to assist, they do not want to go. So tunabaki with a lot of unresolved issues. Issues of planning, NEMA's decisions, when you want to challenge NEMA decisions, we go to National Environmental Tribunal. And utapata mtu, his case is on environmental planning, on the issue of county permits. But you see that probably is not the tribunal to be able to do that. So it's to sensitize, and please listen to the government officers. When they tell you, when they listen and they break down your complaint, we can even break it down to 10 issues. Then we say we can handle 3, but these 7 you can go to this department and this department, and you will be able to be assisted. That is why some things remain unresolved over a very long time. So issue kama ya noise, I said it's devolved to the county, and I also want to encourage Kara and the residents to also be in touch with the communities they live in. I've had complaints of noise from bars, and maybe churches. Now utapata, let me just give a very good example. That has happened quite a lot. In your community, a pastor comes, hana speaker, hana kitu yote. He starts preaching by his sauti yake. Then after 2 months, anapata pesa ya kununua microphone 2, anakaa 2 years, 3 years, ananunua speaker moja, ana hire tent. Baada ya miaka 5, amepata pesa ya kujenga kanisa kama ya mabati. That is when now everything goes berserk. Community inapigana na kanisa kabisa. Paka inafika pahali wanakuja wananiambia, it is not about controlling noise anymore. We want this thing gone today. Alafu nauliza, hii kanisa imekaa hapa miaka ngapi? Miaka 6. Hasa kwa ukweli, you see, that is why if we don't engage within ourselves and in our own communities, such problems arise and they become very difficult to solve. Issues of waste management, we have passed Sustainable Waste Management Act. Soon we'll be telling everybody, once we have the infrastructure, we'll be able to tell everybody to segregate their waste. This is not a punishment. We are trying to create jobs for the youth. Nilikuwa nasema kwa TV juzi that the bottom-up economic transformation agenda is all about creation of green jobs. So we will seek your help because government does not want to enforce, go by stick. We like doing things by conversation. Effluent discharge, we know our situation in Mombasa. We were left behind in terms of sewerage. Right now we rely on on-site waste disposal systems. The problem with this system is that they do require maintenance and dislodging. Now utapata many landlords or mtu akijenga nyumba, hiyo organization inabaki ikichunga hiyo nyumba, nimesahau hiyo jina. The management committee of an estate maybe, they fail to maintain these things. And sometimes wanaachilia into the environment. We follow them up, but at times also, these people are very sneaky. Wanangojanga saa 9 ya usiku, wanaachilia sewage. I would like to beseech every member of this community of Mombasa, please report. The ones who do report, wananyamazanga tu paka wakasirike na landlord. Alafu wanaambia landlord, nitakuonyesha, ndo wanakuja NEMA. So please Because this pollution, I've heard people complain around Bamburi, especially around Nyali area. They know their estates are releasing sewage. Then when they go to the beach, wanasema hii beach leo kama sewage. Wanipata. Na wanajua ni estate yao. And because they're in close proximity, huko ndo wanaenda. So are we really helping ourselves? That is, hiyo ndo kitu tunahitaji usaidizi. As we try as government to crack down on such issues. The most, which I'd rather hear a lot of questions from you, ni maneno ya physical planning. I hope the planners are here today. I think we also really need our help from the CARA, especially when these policy formulations are being done, and the planning, the master plans when they are being done, because hapo ndo shida inatokea. We don't engage at that level, and once a policy has been passed, tunasema hatukuambiwa. Maybe the county government has passed that this area up to 10 floors. When they were doing the policy formulation, people were very busy again. As I said, that is why we need CARA, so that now we can, and the residential association, so they can be, wanakuwa wanaangalia which policies is inafanyika kwa county ama kwa national government that will affect us. Alafu wakiona one that is very critical, they blow it up to the members. And utapata every residential association kuna mtu wa serikali hapo, very many. Utapata lawyer, utapata architect, utapata engineer, utapata public health officer. All of us and many other professionals live in these communities. And some of them can even offer free service if they feel, kwa sababu si mtu wako kwa nyumba yake, if you feel is going to be infringed, some will even offer free volunteer service to protect, if not even maybe to help the community, but also to protect himself. So that is why tunahitaji the residential association sana. Maneno ya NEMA na maneno ya kujenga, we use the laid down environmental management tools, that is environmental impact assessment and strategic environmental impact assessment, which has actually been even recognized in the Constitution and through our Act, Environmental Management and Coordination Act. And nastaki kuingilia ndani. That is the environmental management tool that we use kwa manyumba. So kwa saizi, maybe I'd rather hear your questions, and I hope I'll be able to fafanua the best I can. Asante.
Thank you, Bwana Lopo. Any questions?
My name is Anaim Omar Ali. So this question goes to Mr. Lopo Wanema. I think mtu kitaka kujenga nyumba lazima apitie kwenu, right? Okay. So kuna mtu alijenga nyumba pale jirani yetu. So mimi na just asking, mkishapeana authority mtu aanze kujenga nyumba, mnapitia kweli kuangalia environment ikoje? Mtu amefata maagizo vile yanavyokuwa, azingushe mabamba, asiatirishe maisha ya binadamu ambao wako karibu. Mnapitia, Mr. Lopo, I'm asking you a question first. Then, kwa sababu kulikuwa na shida hapo mtaani kwetu, nyumba ilijengwa, mabamba yaloweka, ni watoto wako hapo wanacheza, na ni hatari kubwa sana. So tukaita ward admin wa hapo. Ward admin alivyokuja akajaribu kupiga masimu. Siku hiyo alivyokuja I was not there, but nilikuwa nafatiza hiyo maneno. So watu wa NEMA wakasema tumempa ruhusa. So wakaambiwa please njooni muangalie kulingana na sheria zile ambazo zinafuatwa, hii ni haki. So the NEMA people didn't come, hawakuja kuangalia hiyo kesi. So huyu akajenga na ujeuri bila hata kuja kusikia watu vilio vao still. Kwa hivyo wao walitaka tu, akasema, akaja tu ile contractor akasema kila makaratasi yako nazo. So yuko sawa na vile alivyopanga. Kwa hivyo ningependa kusema watu wa NEMA, hata kama mumepeana authority ya mtu ajenge, please Mr. Lopo, pitieni ile sehemu ikishaanza kujengwa. Je, wamezungusha ile mabamba for protection from the people wanaishi? Manake naona upande mmoja poleni, lakini munajisahau. Ama sijui ni kupewa kitu kidogo ndo mambo imeenda, sijui. Kwa hivyo tunaomba hii mikakati ifanywe. Na saa nyingine kutakuwa na shida katika mitaa, utakwenda kwa watu wa NEMA wanapuza. Hii ni kitu ambacho tumefatizia. Wanapuza. Sengine maji machafu yanapita, yani kitu ambacho ukimwambia mtu akaunti, awambia nenda kasemeni NEMA. So nataka kujua ama tupatiwe namba ya mtu ambaye kukitokea na donda sugu, kuna mtu ambaye tuweza kumpigia ili mambo yakawa yako sawa. Asante.
Asante sana. But venye Lopo alisema ni kwamba pia pale mtaani tunajua nani ambaye labda hata ni nyumba naishi ndio wanafungua ile rosiwa and then wana release into the whether on the road ama kwa storm drain. And when your landlord anaifanya at that particular time, because when you're a resident, you wouldn't feel the pain. But there are a lot of other people who feels that pain. When we walk in the streets, this is a tourist destination. We walk in the streets and, there's sewer spillages all over. And some of this comes from, the households. And the county government has a bigger role to play in this entire thing, because they are the ones who work with NEMA to give building permits. They are the ones who also do the spot checks. They are the ones who are supposed to ensure that compliance is actually there to fully adhere to. People build buildings and they don't have infrastructure to handle their waste. Yet you'd see in the building approval that this person provided for this space. So at this point, I would want to invite the representative from the county government of Mombasa, who is representing the CCM for lands, housing, and urban planning. I was told one Mr. Wambua is here to represent Waziri Amado.
My name is John Wambua. I'm a county fiscal planner. I'm a mpangaji wa miji katika county government ya Mombasa. Na niko na machache ambayo ningependa kuongelelea kuhusu upangaji wa miji. Kwanza ningependa kushukuru sana kwa ajili ya Kara for organizing such a forum ambayo tunaweza bandilishana mawazo. It is a good forum. Tumekuwa tukipata maoni tofauti kutoka kwa Residents Association tofauti katika mji wetu wa Mombasa. And notably tumekuwa tukipata maoni ya North Coast Residents Association na pia New Nyali na Kizingo. So I can appreciate these are some of the most active Residents Association. Na pale ofisini tumeweza kukutana na wao mara kwa mara na tukakuwa na discussions, tukapata kuwasikia na wao wakapata kutusikia. Lakini pia kwa mkutano kama huu, ningependa kusema ndio nafasi bora ya kuzungumza. Kwa hivyo tukiongelelea upangaji wa miji ama what we call a fiscal planning, sisi wote ni planners. Sisi wote ni wapangaji. That is the good thing with planning. Kwa sababu hata pale nyumbani kwako najua siku ya leo ukitoka umeacha kama umepanga. Si ni kweli? Umeacha kama umepanga. Na mahali tunaishi utapata kuna ile mpangilio tumejaribu kufanya ndio paka ikapate kufana. So we are all planners lakini for the purpose of overseeing and on a professional point of view ndio professional planners wanahusika. Kwa hivyo upangaji wa miji ningependa kusema in summary we do two functions. Kwanza tunatengeneza plans ambazo zinafaa kutuongoza katika kufanya developments on land. Na jambo la pili kama fiscal planning huwa tuna control development ama tuna regulate nani anajenga wapi, nani hatajenga wapi, na tunahusisha other government agencies kama NCA, kama NEMA, and even the offices of the MP and other administrative offices. Kwa hivyo kwa ufupi, hiyo ndio upangaji wa miji. Kwa vile tunajua sisi kama wakaaji wa Mombasa, sababu najua wengi wetu hapa ni wakaaji wa Mombasa. Mombasa iko na very special challenges when it comes to fiscal planning. Given that Mombasa, kama sio the oldest city, it's among the oldest cities. Si ni kweli? Kwa hivyo watu wameishi hapa kwa miaka mingi sana. And some of those challenges we are facing today, most of them could be historical. Watu wameishi hata kabla ya independence. Watu wameishi hata kabla ya sheria za upangaji wa miji kupangwa. Si ni kweli? Kwa hivyo we are trying to tackle some challenges that have emanated from years, na pia hatutasahau we have our cultural beliefs. Kwa mfano, ningependa kuwapatia mfano wa Mombasa ndio county peke yake ambayo utasikia we have what we call houses without land. Yaani ni nyumba lakini mwenye nyumba ana shamba. Hiyo ni mpangilio ambayo imefanyika Mombasa peke yake. Sijasikia kwa kaunti zingine, labda Kilifi and Kwale given the proximity. Kwa hivyo that is a cultural challenge. Wakati tunasema kuna house without land, ni mtu ambaye alikuwa na shamba kubwa na ndani ile shamba yake akakuja akapatia I understand ni ule ukarimu wa watu wa Mombasa. Wewe ungejenga hapa na mimi wacha nijenge hapa ili hii nafasi isikae kama haijatumika. That was happening back in 1960s and 1970s. But it is now a major planning challenge. Kwa sababu nyumba zinafaa kuwa na mipangilio wakati zinajengwa. Si sawa? Sasa tumejenga tukaishi kwa hii miaka yote. The question that we are facing today, je, tuende tubomoe zile nyumba ili tupate nafasi zinazostahili? So given our cultural, our historical background, we have some challenging some challenging coming from that. Na pia ningependa kusema ya kwamba the county government of Mombasa is the smallest county in Kenya, and basically kama wewe ni a developer and given that devolution said ama in our administrative boundaries inafika mahali kama Mtwapa, upande mwingine wa past Miritini Bonje, na upande huu mwingine ni mahali ambapo tuko na bypass ya Dongo Kundu. So basically as a developer, kila mmoja anataka kukua within the boundaries of county government of Mombasa. Hakuna mtu anataka, because that is what administratively we have been given. So inalete another question of land economics. Kwa sababu wakati unapata kila mtu anataka kuishi within that small county, we have the question of land. Bei ya mashamba inapanda. Bei ya mashamba ikipanda, kuna mtu amenunua shamba. Hata sisi wenyewe kama tulikuwa na mpango, you have bought your land at, let us say 20 million. And buying a land at 20 million, I'm very sure ungependa kile unajenga pale kiweze number one kurudisha ile pesa ambayo umenunua nayo. So hiyo ikatupatia pia a planning challenge ambayo we are also trying as a county government to get a solution. So how are we involved in development control as county government? Ama how are we involved in planning? Nikipenda kusema ya kwamba nilikuwa nimepeana function kidogo, lakini kwa zile mbili ambazo nimesema nikipenda kuongezea kwamba pia kuna zile sheria ambazo kama county government tunatengeneza za kufuatiliwa wakati ambapo tunafanya regulation of developments. Kwa hivyo tunahusika kwa njia tatu sisi kama Fiscal Planning Office, ambayo nilisema njia ya kwanza ni kutengeneza plans. Wakati ambapo tunatengeneza hii mipangilio ambayo tunaita plans, tunahusisha members of the public. Wale wanakumbuka in the last 2 years tumekuwa tukitengeneza a county spatial plan, and by coincidence we had our last meeting hapa tu ambayo tulihusisha stakeholders. Tukatembea pia in all the sub counties tukihusisha members of the public. Kwa hivyo ili tuhakikishe ya kwamba the views of the residents are well captured when we are approving these plans. Na pia kuna establishment of policies. Hizi ni kama sheria za kuongoza matumizi ya ardhi. Na ya mwisho ambayo nilisema kuna kuapprove ama kupeana kibali cha kujenga. Na nikasema pale tunahusisha pia other government agencies. Kwa hivyo tukiendelea, ningependa kushukuru sana kwa ajili ya the Constitution of Kenya ya 2010 ambayo ilipatia mwananchi nguvu. Vile nimesema kwamba sisi wote we are planners. So there are questions that will come to us, and there are questions that will come to you as the residents. And sisi tukitoka pale ofisi, we are also members of the public. Ukisha vile Mr. Lopo amesema, ukipita ile mlango ya ofisi utoke pale nje, these challenges are also facing us. Kama ni ukosefu wa barabara, si hatuwezi pita kwa hewa, si ndio? Inatuhusu pia. Kwa hivyo we can assure you as an office of fiscal planning, tunajaribu mahali tunaweza ili kutatua some of the planning challenges in the county. So in brief, nitawapatia mambo machache ambayo kama county government tumejaribu kufanya. Kwa sasa tuko na program za kutengeneza squatter settlement schemes, mahali ambapo watu wameishi kwa miaka mingi bila mipangilio. Kama Fiscal Planning Office tunatengeneza a plan ambayo ni ya kupunguza further damage. We can say that these places are fully people have occupied, lakini hatuwezi wacha zikabakia kuwa vile. Lazima mpango ipangwe ndio for the purpose of future kusiendelee kuwa na further dimensioned land use. Hiyo ni mpangilio ambayo sisi kama planning office tunafanya on daily as part of our work schedule, na we are also giving approvals for developments. It's also part of our work. We involve in our approval process, we have technical reviewers ambao utapata kuna mtu ambaye anahusika na mambo ya environment, kuna mtu ambaye anahusika na mambo ya public health, kuna mtu ambaye anahusika na mambo ya survey, to ensure that all the requirements of law are taken into consideration. Na ningependa kusema kwa sasa hizo ni njia ama it's some of the ways ambazo sisi kama county government and specifically planning office tunahusika. Lakini I would like us to think beyond this. County government ni serikali. It's a government on its own. We have many offices under the county government, ambapo kuna ofisi ya governor, kuna different departments, offices are different departments, kuna ofisi ya women rep who is representing us at national government, kuna ofisi ya senator who is like a watchdog of all the county functions. Kuna ofisi ya sub-county administration, na hata kuna ofisi under the sub-county administration kuna ofisi ya ward admin and etc. Kuna ofisi ya MCA. So what I'm trying to say is our concerns, sioni kama inaweza pita hizo ofisi zote na ikose kusikizwa. So I understand given that the county government it's your government, ni serikali yako kwa sababu ni serikali ya wananchi, and that county government it's doing the best they can do. So mimi sina jambo ingine ya kuongezea, ningependa kuwashukuru sana. Asanteni.
Is the county doing something? So those are some of the issues that, I believe that county could step up on, but we also appreciate the kind of challenges that we face. There's a new development coming up here at the railway station. And I want to highlight this because there are things that affect many people at the same time. There's the meter gauge railway, moving from the SGR to now the Mombasa terminus. And the road has not grown, they've not expanded the road. So what that means is that we are going to invite new traffic congestion. Something that we've already seen happening at, Nyali Fidel Odinga Road, and now there'll be a similar situation in that particular place. So these are just things that, the Department of Lands could look at, and the things that would involve other departments. I know Transport Department as well would want to be involved. And these are things that are citizens or residents. They may not be really happening in your neighborhoods, but they affect you in one way or another. Quickmart, people who live around that area who use that road, whenever it rains, there's flooding in the area, right? Flooding that was not there before the mall came to that place. And these are things that point to the flaws in our urban planning as a city. And these are things that, as residents, you could also take up and follow up with the government. There are things that would not be happening in a particular neighborhood, but they affect you. Yeah, so that is a traffic congestion, yeah. And Gen Z's protesting, and you can't access your offices, and you can't access your businesses. Maybe because the urban planning of the city has not factored in some of these freedoms that are envisioned in the Constitution. That now, perhaps, we should consider opening certain public spaces for these kind of things. That if Mamangina is a place that can carry 100,000 people at a go, then the county department, and now working with the national government, could designate those places as places where people would go and picket and maybe present some petitions. Because when you allow people to do that on the streets, the inconvenience and the destruction, affects each one of us. Because some people take advantage and end up looting, their gunshots, and it's just destructive. So this was just a rallying call to the neighborhoods as well to think beyond the particular neighborhoods to issues that would also affect the quality of life in the city that you live in. You want to live in a city that, it also allows you to live as a resident, and that the quality of life is reasonably enhanced. So with that, I would want to open our plenary session so that we get feedback from you. You would ask the questions that you have to our speakers from the Law Society of Kenya, from NEMA, and from the county government of Mombasa. And feel free, I know in the room there are also experts from different domains, so feel free to take up a question or clarify when you feel that there's something that you really can't respond to. And like Lopo said, the devolution system of government gave certain functions to the county government. And you also have to trust that the county government has tried to build capacity to take up some of those functions. So when Lopo tells you, on noise pollution, go to the county government, don't doubt that the county government has that capacity to, take up that issue and help you. You have so much trust in NEMA, but it's no longer their function. It's a county government that works with them to do this kind of things. And we partner with NEMA every day. Lopo will tell you that this week, maybe this is the second meeting that we are sitting in together. And this just shows that we are working together to ensure that we perform our duties optimally as the agency is responsible for these functions. So I'm opening this up, and I would start with this side because it seems we've ignored you for some time.
Good morning to you. My name is Adika. I work at Kituo as an advocate, but I also convene the civil society network. I want to start from a point of reflection and bringing us to order. When you're a government officer and you come to these forums, talk with some vigor. You are talking. So I thank all guys from government who have come to speak to us. Number one, I want to request that government officers in Mombasa must speak to people, do a lot more sensitization, so that then people know who to talk to. With the advent of devolution, a lot of departments have changed. Even in this government of Abdul Samad, they have changed those departments severally. And sometimes those offices sit where, ideally, residents do not know where that office sits. Because even this government has changed twice, I think twice or thrice. So it is important that government speaks to people so that people know where exactly to go. That's number one. Number two, Sensitization is your role. You can even allocate. We have been pushing county government to allocate people to sensitize communities. If you look at the budgets, it is not direct. They need to put people, to put money, so that people like us and Kara, if we visit, we complement what you do. So you need to put people, because an informed citizenry is a plus to government. Number two, Wambua, I have two questions to you. One, there are TOLs that are given to some people. We've had two cases, one in Bamburi and a recent one in Chuda. They have all ended up in court because a person has a premise next to a road. Then you come to give TOL for somebody to do the same business that he's doing just next to his premise. So the question that you ask is, where did the public participation go to? Have you involved people there before you give that TOL? If you are changing a government policy that will substantially affect people, you need to engage people on public participation, and that is Article 232 for every government officer. Number two, kindly share the status of the following plans. The plans under Section 107 of the County Government Act, the sectoral plans, the special plan, and then there is a question of whether Mombasa City Board is going to be in place, or Mombasa has decided not to put that in place. Number three, this is to all of us, and especially people who lead estates. If you're a chairman of one estate or the other, I think we need to do more to unite, so that then we engage government at a more organized position. Recently, we had the ADP, Annual Development Plan, being spoken about. And it is development plans and money for the next financial year budget. And so many people lost out. When my brother there was asking whether LSK participates, I know some of us get so busy in the office, but if this estate units are strong, we would know exactly how many government projects are going to be put in a specific estate. We would monitor, we would make sure that there is program and there is enhancement of development and money is not stolen. Finally, to Wambua and my brother from NEMA, what is the government doing in the long term about this sewer issue? Because we can't be having a sewer problem. Mzee anasema ilipasuka sijui how many years back. And up to date, we are not seeing concerted effort to put that infrastructure in place. When is this going to be put in place? Can we start now so that in the next 5 years, there would be proper sewer in Mombasa? Thank you.
Thanks.
Nimisha and I represent Nyali Residents Association on the committee. I find it's a good forum that we have today with officers from various institutions to see how best we can work with each other. First of all, I find Nyali responsibility of cleaning the whole of Nyali has been almost abandoned by the county. You find we as Nyali residents are actually employing and paying for the cleaners. And now we are also paying for collection of the garbage, which is the duty of the county. And this, in spite of various meetings, we are not getting anywhere. We still end up paying a lot of money on a monthly basis. And if this note can be taken, and if we can be assisted, so we can make Nyali a better place in general. There is a lot of expansion happening, and rightfully it is required. but you find most of the approvals are not rightfully given. We said, my friend here just said that, the investors wants to return on his investment. But he is buying a plot which is worth 40 million for 60 million because he knows that he will get permission for that 12-story building. This is not right. You give a permission, we are not stopping development in Mombasa, but let it be a reasonable ground plus 3, ground plus 4, where the current infrastructure supports it. Because you have fire brigade which cannot reach some of the upper floors that are being built. You don't have the money to put a fire engine in Nyali, which is a whole township on its own, which is in Mombasa County. My friends, we are past 60 years of independence. Some of the water lines are 60 years old and beyond. What have we done for the last 60 years? We can sit here in meetings after meetings after meetings, we are promised heaven, but I don't know in our real lifetime we will really see that heaven. I have just come from Nyali now. You just mentioned about Nyali. It took me almost 1 hour. This showground, which operates 4 days in a year, out of 365 days, 360 days is lying vacant. And it's a big parcel of land owned by the government or a parastatal, which rightfully can be used to have a lot of government offices or county offices to support so people don't cross the bridge to come and pay their bills. That is like these Huduma centers, we've said, why don't you have one in showground? Let people just access the services. Why would you want somebody from Matwapa to come all the way to town? What about the Kongoea? We have been talking, why don't you decentralize? Why do people from Likoni cross the ferry to buy bogas in Kongoea? Why can't we have another Kongoea? But this is not the right planning we are having. Maybe we don't have the right people in the planning. Because if 60 years ago those guys could plan, why can't we not plan better for the last 60 years? Population are growing, but we need the right people doing the right job. And I think it's high time we need to call a spade because sitting in this traffic, you can imagine somebody having an emergency and the way our drivers are trained or not trained, they won't even let an emergency vehicle pass. We are one of the few townships which is allowing tuk-tuks to operate in town. The bodas in Nairobi, they don't allow in CBD. But we are allowing because we are told these are our votes. That is what we are being told. I think we need to divide. We need to separate the powers that run the county and the voting part because that's where we are failing. And we are failing for the last 50 years, my friend. You find Digo Road, Moy Avenue, if you look at, they were properly planned shops which you even see in Europe today. But now look at Nyali. Who is planning Nyali? Who is helping plan? Do you really see that Links Road, which is a new Nyali, Moy Avenue or Digo Road? Is it going to be like Digo Road here, which was done 100 years ago? We are allowing all sorts of development there, but who is passing this development? When I attend a meeting with Kura, they're saying we were not involved. That Links Road, which can take 1,000 vehicles a day, right now they're going 5,000 vehicles a day. Because they were not involved, the roads are not expanding, the government doesn't have the money, who's going to suffer? The bridge, past the bridge, there is road for expanding to create 4 or 5 lanes so that people clear the bridge faster. But look at the bottleneck at Kongoea. You don't even need to go to school to make those decisions. And we have qualified people who get paid every month, and they still don't make the right decisions. What is wrong with us? What is really wrong with us, my friends? Raw sewers, you talked about raw sewers, but I can tell you, there are new developments who are officially but illegally allowed to connect the raw sewers into the normal wastewater lines. Because some wakubas maybe stay nearby or whatever. Why should that happen? Because when it overfills, the raw sewers, look at the Majengo part of some of these areas. It is really bad, my friend, really bad. You look at the Juakali sector, you look at the way Likoni ferry before and on the other side. How is the county or whichever body is responsible helping us control the crowd? We cannot be proud to be residents of Mombasa, where this planning is really failing us. And I think it will be the same points most of us are going to make, but it is high time. Even the beggars numbers are increasing, and I think we need to put a stop to all this. And this is our cry generally with most of us. But with this, my friends, I think I've said quite a bit, and I'm sure you have a lot to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for, such quality.
One more thing, sorry, because there is a county officer here. The other day, I had a county officer visiting my premises with a badge with the title says, not county, but the title says powers to arrest. That is his title. And he's a county inspector. I think some of these things have to be challenged and have to be stopped. And if possible, maybe this is not the forum, but if you want, let us have a one-to-one meeting in a proper way. Even it can be a whole day, but let us resolve this together. We are here to help you if you need help. Tafadhali, thank you.
Thank you so much. And, I feel your pain as a resident, as a staff of the county government of Mombasa. I'm really happy that, residents are also, seeing these things and are willing to hold the government accountable. There are things that I could just rightfully answer to because I think I have the authority to, especially on collection of garbage. While you would want to make it look like the responsibility of the county government, ours by law should actually be the public spaces. We regulate management of solid waste in the city, and we collect waste from designated collection points. But to just support our young people and to create employment in these areas, we've also allowed them to get in that space. That is where you have to contract a private waste manager to pick your waste from your household to a designated collection point. And that is a model that we are going to continue working with. And hopefully, we'll even get our trucks off the roads to just ensure that, we leave that entire business for enterprise because it's a bankable business. We have no business lifting waste. We can save a lot of money from just doing that alone and divert it elsewhere. I'm glad that there are also other county staff in here, and there's been a very serious conversation about underutilized spaces in the city. And you've mentioned one of them being the Mkomani showgrounds. We are exploring them, not in the dimension that you mentioned, but particularly for resilience and urban flooding issues, because we notice that there's land constraints and we need to employ some nature-based solutions for managing floods in the city that would require that. On markets, again, you mentioned something about having a different kind of market in Likoni. We have a market in Likoni, Shikadabu market, constructed by the county government of Mombasa. It sits there because people still want to, cross or want to buy elsewhere, but the infrastructure is there. And just next to it is also a fully fledged fire station to support that kind of work. But thank you so much for your contribution. I believe that my colleagues who are here incognito are also taking notes. And just what Adika also said, sometimes when you're representing the government, you also have to be cautious, because I'm glad that he said that we can partner together. But most of the time you're on the receiving end. And some questions are way above your pay grade. So you answer them wrongly, then they burn your fingers. I'll take just one question from you.
My name is Gabriel Gambo from the New Nyali Residents Association. I have two questions which I'll direct to Mr. Wambua, in charge of planning. Mr. Wambua, you just confirmed that in the last 2 years, you've been preparing a spatial plan. The same thing happened about 10 years ago, around 2012, where we had serious public engagement and Mombasa County was zoned differently. New Nyali, for example, and the whole of Nyali was zoned as a low residential area. And ever since, we have not had any change, any engagement of whatsoever. But all of a sudden, you have seen the booming approval of developments going up to 25 stories. Which plan are you using? Did anything happen? Did anything change that we were not told? That's the first. Can you confirm for us that? And the second one is, by law, we are required to have a county liaison committee where we are supposed to take our grievances in case we have these illegal developments approved. The last time we checked, this committee was not in place. We would like to hear from you whether this committee is present, because whatever is happening in Nyali is a disaster. Thank you.
I'm Karemi. I don't know whom I'm leveling this question to, the NEMA man or the planner. What plan do you have for the Jitoni Mikanjuni Road, which has been muddy for the last 4 years? You have to pay 50 bob to park your car. You have to take another tuk-tuk for 50 bob. Every day you spend 150 for 4 years. Ningekuwa nimejenga room 3 zingine.
My name is George Mokaya from basically from South Coast. I'm the chairman of South Coast Residents Association, and I'm happy you guys sent the invite. First, quick challenge to Kara. We could love to have a similar session for South Coast. I think it's the next booming area, and a lot of development coming up, and lots of interest, thanks to Dongo Kundu and all that. So this will go a long way, because all the issues being shared here today, I'll say it's what we've been fighting every single day until the county thinks we're anti-development, but in real sense, we want to make a few things in order. I'll divert a little bit. I'll just ask one question. There was a lot of hype about the crow eradication, and I know the county was running a program at one moment, but I think that went silent. Currently, I know South Coast, we are running a forum and a fundraiser for that project, and I know also North Coast residents are also, and some in Watamu are doing similar. The question goes to the county: what resources are you putting into this? And we know Mombasa is one of the densely populated with the Indian crows, which are trying to eradicate. Two, on the issue of NCA, physical planning, and NEMA, challenge is, yes, all the approvals I got, but no real ground inspectors. You do not have foot soldiers, and buildings which are ground +1 or ground +2 end up with ground +5. And I don't see any demolitions happening in the recent past. That's a challenge to you. Zoning plan, in South Coast, we have one from 2012 that we've been fighting to retain because it was well researched. The county did try to make a few amendments, but we kind of vetoed it at one moment. We've been very active and vibrant on that area. But if there's any time we need Kara, it's now, especially now that there's one that is underway. The county were kind enough to put us in the driving seat in terms of working on the zoning plan for South Coast. We really need a lot of support from the general residence associations to fight that. And the last one is on Kura and Kera issues. Now, this specifically to Diani, the Diani Beach Road, which is the main road in Diani, is still under Kera, and we posed that question a couple of times. To what extent or at what moment does Kura come in, so that now that it's a municipality, and how the management of that goes. Somebody mentioned about Likoni. I can speak Likoni from my heart. It's the gateway to South Coast until Dongo Kundu happened. Kenya Ferry have got nothing to do with all the structures immediately after the ferry. We know that falls under Mombasa County. Please, the banders, the vendors putting up shops in the evening, all the borders all come there. You can blame the ferry operations, but until that bottleneck is settled, kindly, we need help. And I think that falls directly under you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jambo nyote. Kwa majina ni Simon Kate, a former member of Buxton Tenants and a member of Kenya Alliance of Residents Association for many years, toka walipoanza. We've been in this room for many days asking same questions. And one of the major issues that cuts across is about the issues of planning. And it's good that we are having a few members within the House about the planning of Mombasa. We always say history is a good pattern to follow. The defunct Municipal Council of Mombasa used to have a blueprint on development within Mombasa. However, that blueprint was thrown away when the new system of the county government came in. And that's where we all went astray. However, after that, there was an immediate intervention which was taken across to put up a Mombasa blueprint, that is a master plan for Mombasa. And this master plan has all the zoning areas and how Mombasa should be planned. However, that same blueprint is rotting somewhere within our shelves because we are not following what that blueprint says. And I'm glad that you're talking about the issues of the traffic jams and the systems which are being used. However, if you look at it, there are plans, and there are still plans for Mombasa to open up. A good example, they were supposed to have a bridge within Chuda to decongest some of these things. We are supposed to have where the old bridge was through Tamarid. And I know you are having a case with the Tamarid. Tamarid just came the other day. That land was still there. What is happening? Is it that we do not have enough laws? Or are we there to favor those people who are still owning these lands? So these are some of the major questions which are cutting across that need to be subjected to. And for me, the Department of Planning is totally failing Kenyans and failing the people of Mombasa in totality. That runs square. That one I'll not be fair with you. I'll be very strict with that. And we've engaged on many occasions. For NEMA, yes, we are there. We have the laws. However, when it comes to the issues of noise pollution and all those things, there is a law, and that law is pegged on the NEMA Act. Now, when you tell us that we go to the county of Mombasa because it is devolved, has that function or those laws also been devolved? Have they been devolved to the county of Mombasa? Was there public participation for that also for people to understand? Or do we devolve things for the sake of doing things? And when you come to your office, you report these things, you tell people, enda kwa county Mombasa department ya nini ndo wana deal na hiyo. Ukienda kwao wanakuregesha hivyo. Huyu mwananchi kwani hachoki? Mwananchi kazi yake ni kupewa service. Kwa hivyo akireport that service anafaa kupewa. Si azungushwe, haombi kwa sababu ni taxpayer. Wewe uko pale ofisini umelipwa mshahara na taxpayer. Kwa hivyo unafaa kumfanyia ile kazi vile inavyotakana. So this is a disservice to the people of Mombasa. We need to understand these structures. Again, when we talk about I'll come to my sister, Janet Katisia. It's good that you are dealing with issues of commercial law. And today, across Kenya, we are seeing the issue of urban renewal. And the urban renewal is a target of the estates for all the counties. These estates were built there with a purpose, to assist the local person. Yule ambaye anaweza kulipa shilingi 500 ama 2000 na hao yuko within the town center na anaweza access shughuli zake za kawaida. But today we've changed that into a commercial business place. Mahali unaambiwa we are building affordable housing. These houses are not affordable. Na ukiambiwa ziko affordable, hazijengwi na pesa ya serikali. Inajengwa na pesa ya nani? Pesa ambayo inajenga hiyo nyumba ni pesa yangu, because inaambiwa lipa deposit hii, baada ukilipa itakuwa imesonga hivi, lipa the other one, lipa the other. So I'm building a house with my own money, at the same time hiyo nyumba nauziwa mimi mwenyewe. Facts ziko wapi hapa? Nani anadanganya mwingine? I'm a victim. I'm standing here to say I'm a victim because you're Buxton. And we said ile kitu ilifanyika Buxton should never again happen to any other estate. And what is happening, Buxton wamejaribu vile wanavyoweza, wameenda paka Senate. Senate wamepeana some issues ambazo zinafaa kufuatwa. However, court nayo iko na rules zao. Then we ask, who is on top? Is it the court? Is it the Senate? Is it the parliament? Because in the parliament hapo ndio sheria zinapangwa, zinapitishwa, zikipitishwa ndio zinakuwa sheria, ndio watu wa kotini watumie. There is a conflict between the laws, na hapo kuna shida kubwa of which we need to address. And as members of the Kenya Residents Association, ambao tumekaa hapa as members, tunaona hao wenzetu wanaumia, but as Kara na sisi tumenyamaza. Tunawaangalia, how are we going to assist them? Ama tutaingilia wapi tuweze kusaidiana? Because this umbrella inaleta all the Residents Association mahali pamoja, uongee na sauti moja. We need to discuss these things, na tuongee tukiwa tunaangaliana. Tuyo kwamba tunadanganyana. There are issues of laws which need to be addressed. Thank you.
Asante sana.
Jambo la kwanza ningezungumzia ni kuhusu mambo ya environment. Dada yangu amezungumza jambo hapa kuhusu kufuatilia. Zingatiwe. Naomba mnaweza patia mtu makaratasi lakini hamfuatilii. Unapata vitu ameenda kufanya pale ni fake na vya kunyanyasa na kuumisha watu, then watu wanabaki wakihangaika tu hivyo. Jambo lingine ningezungumzia kuhusu squatters. Tunaumia. Na nashukuru kwamba mmesema kwamba kuna mipangilio imeanza kupangwa. Ni miaka mingapi tumehangaishwa hivyo? Kweli hii ni nchi yetu, tumepata uhuru. Mnakaa mnaitwa squatters kwa nchi yenu kwa miaka mingapi? Hiyo kitu itapangwa mpaka lini? Ninaona wakati mabwenyenye wanajaribu kututishia kwamba wanakuja kutubomolea pahali ambapo umejenga wewe. Nyumba ni haki yako ya msingi, shamba ni haki yako ya msingi, masomo katiba inatuambia. So wakati wewe umeng'ang'ana umejenga na umekaa mahali zaidi ya miaka 12, alafu mtu anatokea from nowhere anakuja kuambia siku yako anataka kubomolee na anapewa support aje kubomolee, then tuko wapi? Tutahangaika hivyo mpaka lini? Unashangaa mtu amechukua loan ama ameretire, amepata ile pesa, amejenga mahali, anakuja kubomolewa. Kweli ataishi? Hata tu ile eviction threat ikija unapata amekufa hata kabla hajabomolewa. Sasa hilo jambo liangaliwe kwa makini. Thanks.
Mimi nauliza maswali matatu au kusema kuhusu maswali matatu. Swali la kwanza ni kuhusu maji. Maji taka na maji fresh, piped water. Serikali ya kaunti ina mpango gani? Kila mara mnatuambia mwache damu, tutakaa bila maji, maji inaletwa na matanga. How safe is it kwa mwananchi? 2, mambo ya master plan. Vile mwenzangu amesema hapa Kate ni kwamba tulifurahi wakati kulikuja na proposal ya redevelopment. Sasa ikawa 2030 vision. Imepita, governor akaweka 2035 aliyetoka. Sasa tumefika badala ya redevelopment imekuja affordable. Affordable hii imekuwa expensive kuliko redevelopment. Kwa sababu ilikuwa kwamba watu kwa mfano wale wa Chuda wana watoto shule, nyumba zile wawe accommodated mahali, na ikawa kwamba watapewa reallocation. Sasa imekuwa kwamba watu watoke, serikali hivi viwanja wameleta investor bila kuhusisha hao watu wote. Participation ya county na mwananchi ndio tunataka ifanyike kwa njia inayofaa. Isio kwamba tayari tushaamua kama serikali. Maana mnatuambia, mnatufundisha kwamba tuna haki yetu. Haki yetu ni kwamba tukae sote, tuelewane, tuwe na mutual understanding. Tunafanya nini? Si kwamba tunakataa maendeleo, lakini tuwe na uelewano. 2 or 3 nasema kwamba kuanzia saa hii let us change the perception ya watu kwamba sisi tuko kwa serikali. Kwa sababu serikali ni ofisi, kesho utatoka mwingine aingie. Ni kwamba tuelewane, tufanye maendeleo, maana mji hawezi kukaa bila kupanuka. Mji lazima upanuke, lakini tuje na system ya kupanua. Asanteni.
Swala langu ni kwa mtu wa Neema. There's been a lot of mushrooming of residential bars. Kuanzia stadium, Changamo, wapi. It is both a noise pollution. It is also very unhealthy for families to have bars in the night. Watu wanasoma, kelele zinaendelea huko, and nothing is being done. And the licensing offices, nafikiria pia ina include mambo ya Neema. Sijui Bwana Neema utatusaidia vipi hapo? Asante.
Okay, my name is Rachel Millicent Obule. Swali langu linakuja kwa upande wa ya majitaka tena, narudi huko sehemu za Bakarani, na kuna msitu pale pia. Yale maji yako pale ni machafu kiasi cha kwamba mvua ikinyesha residents pale wanapata njia, maana ni kama vyote ni kama kumejaa. Sasa ndio wanafungua, mikojo inatiririka, mavi yanatiririka. Sasa watu wanapita juu ya mavi, that place is stinking. Na unapata kuna misitu pale kiasi cha kwamba hatuoni ukikatwa, kiasi cha kwamba hata mtu alitoa mimba pale, mtoto mkubwa, na akawekwa pale akiwa na karibia kufariki. Sasa pale mtatusaidiaje?
Bishop Maxwell Odada, a resident of Chuda. I've benefited from this forum, but I'm having some observation, and this question I will direct it to Kenha. It's a blessing that we are having a bypass in Dongo Kundu, and I managed to do spot check. My background is engineer in profession. I'm a pastor a bishop by calling of God, but I'm a trained engineer in telecommunication. I've noticed that the bridges are so narrow, very, very much narrow compared to Nyali Bridge, that you can have a path from Kokoteni and a pedestrian. There is no path for pedestrian in Dongukundu. Even Kokoteni. So I don't know how they will capture this, or that place will be only for vehicles. Another thing, I was able to travel during daytime from Nairobi to Mombasa, and on my way that yesterday but one, there were big wide load. If they were being ferried to Nairobi, you find that that one lorry, the baggage it's carrying, or the luggage is carrying, overlap the yellow line on the road, center of the road. So it's covering one side of the road and a quarter. So you, as approaching, you are given warning so that you can pull aside so that you can allow it to pass. Will that be able to pass in Dongokundu? Because there will be a barrier. You will not be moving aside from that bridge. So these are the challenges we have seen in Dongokundu. The second one is about, you talk about the Nyali Mamangina seafront. I don't know how people get to Mamangina from Likoni side, from Naivas Likoni. It's really pathetic. It's a good place inside, but to assess it from Likoni roundabout, it's a pathetic, it's a problem. Because as a vehicle, a private vehicle, you will not be able to assess that facility, Mamangina, from Likoni side. They would have opened an extra road, specifically going to Mamangina. Another observation I have, we were having Kipevu waste management, sewerage management. This thing collapsed. And I don't know that during those times they were able to build it, and during this early day we can't even build one. What is happening to Mombasa? If during those times the sewage could be recycled and treated and then left to go to the ocean are treated waste, not untreated. Like now we are having a report that the coastline of Mombasa Island, the fish is not good for human consumption because they are full of bacteria from Marine Fisheries Research Report. It's not edible. And if you are eating it with a lot of bacteria inside. This is the problem we are facing. The last one, as a bishop, I would air my view, water is to life. And for sure, in Mombasa, as a county, we don't have a reliable source of water. The water we are ferrying from Mzima Spring, from Baricho, and from Marere. There are plants that we can build, desalination plant for Mombasa to be self-reliant with water from the ocean. Because you can salinate the seawater to be used. But now that one is it hasn't happened. We were given a position where the desalinating plants were to be built. One was to be built in Shikadabu towards the ocean. The other one was to be built in Shanzu, Shimolatewa. And these things were just story to date. We haven't achieved any. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bishop. And you come from Chuda. And actually, now that there's a resident association for Chuda, we are having a big challenge with the big and tall buildings in Chuda. They connect their raw sewer into the stormwater drain. And when you go to the Chuda, is it the Chuda beach? Then you see, raw sewer spilling directly. Yeah, the outfall is directly there. And you see fishermen leaving that place with very healthy prawns and fish. They're the fattest shrimps in this city. Yeah, so it's a big challenge, and as an association, I think you could also be involved in addressing some of these issues. Desalination, I don't think it's an option anymore because there have been considerations around it, the cost, and even the brine that comes at the end of that project. It's still not an option that we are considering. Now, it was previously considered in the last regime, but now after further review, the current conversations have not really been in favor of that desalination. And we acknowledge and appreciate our challenges with water scarcity and quality of that water as well in the city of Mombasa. Demand is around 200,000 cubic meters a day. We only get 40,000. So we have been thinking of other ways of ensuring that there's sufficient water to be able to quick feedback from our speakers as well and the different institutions, and also to welcome. I know Walter Ogana from the Kenya Institute of Planners has also joined us. So whether you want to maybe take a minute or two when responding to one of the questions that you've heard from here, to also just share some quick insights on what your thoughts are. But I'd maybe you can take the first stage to maybe give some quick feedback based on what you've heard from the feedback from our citizens. And the county would also respond, and NEMA, as well as Law Society of Kenya, and any other specialist in the room.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Walter Ogana. I'm a corporate member of the Kenya Institute of Planners and the municipal planner for Malindi. Sorry, I've just arrived late. I left my house in Malindi at 6 a.m. and I've just arrived here a few minutes ago. So you just imagine the challenge I've gone through accessing Mombasa City. I was called upon on behalf of the chairman of the Kenya Institute of Planners Coast Region. And I was to talk about the role of neighborhood associations in planning and development control. I've had a lot of issues being aired in this forum, and there are so many challenges coming up as associations that are represented here. There are so many issues that are relating to planning, development control, zoning issues, standards, compliance issues, and I believe Mombasa County has representatives who are able to tackle these challenges. Mombasa has enough personnel who will be able to handle all these challenges that are aired in this forum. I believe they are ready to serve the people of Mombasa. And for people who have come from far, maybe from South Coast, all those coming from all over Kenya, Residents Association, this is a forum that I believe was representing every association that is around the country, but I believe mostly in the coast region. So shortly, I'm just going to talk shortly about the role of neighborhood associations, and later I'll respond to a few questions that I've had being aired in this forum. First of all, we need to know that neighborhood associations are actually established within the Urban Areas and Cities Act. I believe we all know about this Act of Parliament that called Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011. And there is another regulation that is also giving more power to the existence of neighborhood associations, how they are supposed to be established and how they are supposed to be registered within the city boards, within the municipal boards. They are supposed to be registered, and there's a procedure of doing that. And this is something that we need to know, that there's a process that is to be followed in order for residents associations to be established. So as resident association, as CARA, the alliance, the members are supposed to know that there is a procedure for your association to be registered within the municipal or board or by the county city board. I don't know whether Mombasa has a city board, but they are supposed to be registered by the city board. And there is a procedure laid out, even when you look at the second schedule of the Urban Areas and Cities Act. It outlines every step and every responsibility that the associations are supposed to go through in order to be registered, in order to be recognized, to be functional, to air their views, to represent the people that they are residing in those areas. So one of the main, first of all, we need to know that the legal framework, there exists a legal framework that establishes procedures and processes that are supposed to be followed by these associations of the Residents Association. So the first role that we are finding emanating from the Urban Areas and Cities Act is that there is outlined public participation, that all these resident associations have the power to participate in public advocacy and to participate in public issues within their areas in matters of development control. And that means they are supposed to organize meetings with their residents, and again, they are supposed to disseminate information to their people, and again, they are supposed to gather feedback to the residents and be as a go-between between the local authorities and the resident associations, and also advocating for community needs and preference when it comes to planning and development issues. You are supposed to be representing the interest of the residents. All these associations are supposed to represent the interest of the association. Role number two is to monitoring and enforcement of development control issues. Now that means that any time that a development application is made, you're supposed to make a follow-up. Now that means you need to monitor ongoing developments, number one. Number two, you need to involve community. All these people who are within those residential areas, they're supposed to be involved in a way, in monitoring developments that are taking place within your area. So the challenge that we are experiencing is because we still don't have residents association having power within their areas. Like we are complaining so much about Nyali, that the buildings coming up, many stories. But it is because the residents' associations do not have the power that is vested upon them by the Constitution to monitor the kind of developments that are going on within those areas. If there existed development associations within Nyali, then today we'll be sitting here knowing that such and such an issue went through approval process and the members were involved and there would be no complaint. If they were constructed, those structures, and you just allowed them, it means you are compromised. But it means either those associations are not there or they are compromised. It can only be two issues. And again, we are supposed to ensure compliance with plans. We are talking about master plans in Mombasa, but it is the responsibility of the neighborhood associations to enforce compliance. You are not just supposed to be an association who is being seen. We are supposed to be involved in compliance, in enforcing compliance. For example, somebody has a plan that has been approved, and they were approved 1+2. But now when the structure is coming up, you find 1+5. Now, it is upon you to come out and ensure that if that was not well done, then you have another means to take. It may be involving the county, involving the legal department, the courts. There are always avenues. But the challenge here is that the residents' association maybe do not have the power or they are non-existent. And again, another form of monitoring and enforcement development control is alerting authorities on violation. Like such kind of things. We are quiet, but the people continue building all those massive structures on an area that was zoned as a ground plus one. Now the problem is us, the resident associations. Let's not complain, but let's take action. Role number three is enhancing accountability and transparency. Now this involves around issues to do with requesting information about projects taking place. Now if we have projects that are taking place in the county and we are unaware, then it is our right as a people, constitutional right, to demand that those details be provided. Now this, it means the neighborhood association will be playing a crucial role in seeking detailed information about upcoming projects to ensure community involvement. Once the neighborhood association are involved, then the community is able to be communicated to as well. Now, we also, as a neighborhood association, we have the power to scrutinize documents about infrastructure taking place within our areas. It is our constitutional right, because there are challenges about people complaining that there's development taking place within a given area, but we have no idea of what it's all about. Then it is our right as neighborhood associations to demand, to scrutinize the details of these projects. And again, pushing for transparency in development permits. I know there are challenges where we always go through where you find there are permits that are issued, and you don't really know how the permit was issued. When you apply common sense, you actually know that this place was not supposed to be holding such kind of a structure. So we as a people, we as associations, we can push for transparency in a manner that it's advocating for transparent permit processes, and this comes about electronic development application. There are counties that are already having this kind of processes. Now, it actually brings out some kind of transparency when we apply this kind of systems. Number 4, we need to collaborate with the devolved government as neighborhood associations. Number 1, this association acts as a bridge the residents themselves may not be able to reach the devolved government or the county government that have the power to do planning. But the association and the leadership is able to act as a bridge between the residents themselves and the authorities that are in place. And again, they give the residents the power to participate in public hearing, like such a forum. Not all the residents may be here, but you as the association leaders, you will be able to be here and later communicate this kind of information to the residents who you represent. And again, you are able to submit petitions. Now, petitions may be in some kind of memorandum or aired in a forum like this. So it is upon the associations that we are representing here to take our position in the society and represent the people who are living within our areas. Now, what are the benefits of having neighborhood association involvement in such kind of programs? Now, the benefit is that communities will be empowered. When the information gets to the residents through you, then they get empowered, they get to know something that they didn't know before. Number two, the developments will be able to be aligned with the vision of the community. It means that if community desired something, then you as an association, they speak this to you, then you will be able to bring up their ideas into a development. Like most plans are developed participatorily. That means their ideas is able to be incorporated within the kind of development that we desire as a society. And again, it enhances urban quality of life. Now, when our desires are incorporated within all these kind of documents or master plans, it means the kind of things that we desire, the quality, it enhances the quality of life that we desire as a people. And therefore, we are supposed to take our place as a people, as resident association, to stand for the people we represent. And it actually brings about quality of life is improved within the areas that we live in. Now, finally, we need to remember that neighborhood associations are very vital components of our society because they help to enhance the kind of developments that we desire. Now, through public participation, monitoring, advocacy, and collaboration, this neighborhood association also ensure that urban development is both sustainable and reflective of the community needs. And the last one, the Urban Areas and Cities Act, we need to maybe be conversant with it because it provides the legal basis for these associations to engage effectively with local authorities or the devolved units, making them key partners in the quest for orderly and inclusive urban development. So we need to empower. If there are those that are non-existent, let them bring life into them so that we are able to air the views of the people we represent as a people, as a society. Thank you.
I really appreciate your concerns. And this is an indication that tunahitaji another forum like this. We continue raising these issues. And it is very interesting kwamba we are very harsh to the county government. Lakini sijasikia mtu yeyote ambaye anashukuru kwa yale madogo ambayo ama who really appreciates what the county governments have done. Just to remind you, the county governments are only 11 years old. Kuna miaka 11 tu peke yake since they were formed. Na on a light note, we have some of the concerns which the national government has not addressed for many years. So it is also good as we raise these issues. We appreciate the progress that the county government has done. Nitajibu maswali kidogo and I will hand over to my colleague pia kama kona some of the kama amecapture some of the questions atamalizia. On the issue of sensitization, I feel we have a gap. I feel what we are doing is not enough. So as part of our recommendations, we are putting this forward. Kwa hivyo that has been captured, and we appreciate that you raised the issue. On allocation of land through TOLs, we have a board ambayo inaitwa Mombasa Land Regularization and Formalization Committee, ambayo it's the board that has been mandated with that function of allocation. And I understand that all procedures of the law were put into consideration when they are issuing the TOLs. Kuna mtu aliuliza kuhusu siwa, and we need to understand that we have the planning part and we have the implementation part. Kuna kufanya mpangilio na kuna ku-execute ule mpangilio. I can assure that we have so many plans that have been done for sewer management by our department, by our sister departments like water and sanitation. And all these plans are awaiting financing. So the plans are there. Lakini sasa tunasubiri tupate like sponsorships, or when the government itakuwa na huo uwezo. So the plans are there. So at least we are doing something. There was an issue with zoning. That was in Nyali and other areas. Na vile ningependa kusema ni kwamba planning is not it's not fixed. Yani planning is guided by the trends that are ongoing. And us as an office, hata tukizuia, some of these trends will come past us. So what we have been doing after we established the guiding policy ni Mombasa Vision 2035 that has been guiding our development control. So let us get to understand what has been dictated in that policy, and then we understand the planning areas as per that policy. Lastly, ningependa kuwakumbusha kwamba most of these are cultures that we need to develop, us and the residents. A good environment is a culture. Good public health is a culture. Good planning is a culture, because us as an office, we do not plan for ourselves, we plan for the people. So it is a culture that we should develop, all of us, not the county governments, not the national governments. As per the law, there is a stage in development approval where the public is involved. So if a development has been approved and you feel as a member of the public that all considerations of the law were not, or the law was not followed to the letter, you have the power to raise this as a concern. So kama kuna any approval that was done and you feel that was done irregularly, you should be part of the people to be blamed, kwa sababu pia kwa sheria kuna ile sehemu ili kufungua kama a public part of the public or there is a stage of public participation. It is me, it is you, it is everybody. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. My name is Nashon Joroge. I'm a physical planner at the county government of Mombasa, and ningependa kuwashukuru nyote kwa kuweza kuwa hapa. Well, kumekuwa na maswala na manongezano kadha kwa kadha, ambapo moja ambayo nilichukua ni kuhusiana na ya kwanza, ambapo labda Wambua hakuweza kutaja, ni issue ya kuwa na city board, na pia nimesikia plan organa akiuliza hilo swali. Napenda kuweza clarify ama kudhibitisha kwamba kulingana na sheria ya Urban Areas and Cities Act, Mombasa na Nairobi ni city county, kwa ukiangalia ile kipengele cha 65. Kwa hivyo kupitia hicho kipengele hatulazimiki kuweka city board, bali mji wote unakuwa administered kama city county. Kwa hivyo hiyo si lazima. Actually hatupatiwi nafasi ya kuset up a city board. Swali lile la kunguru, nimesikia mtu akiuliza mambo ya kunguru. Well, kunguru si shida kwa mambo ya ustawi wa mji. Kunguru ni kama symptom ya kitu fulani. Ukiondoa kunguru haimaanishi kunguru atatoka. Kunguru wako pale kwa sababu ya vile tumetunza mazingira yetu. Kwa hivyo kama yule ambaye ana generate waste katika nyumba yake ama nyumba yako, unahakikisha aje hiyo waste haiendi ikachafua mazingira. Ukiweza kufanya proper waste disposal, una contract wale vijana, tunaweza kuchunga yale mazingira, ambapo one of the functions ya residents association inaweza kuwa hiyo. Unapata jambo kama makunguru inaanza kupungua, kwa sababu kunguru inafuata uchafu. Kwa hivyo tuangalie waste yetu mwanzo, na kwamba hilo swali la kunguru litaweza pia kuwa addressed. Nimesikia issue ya zoning of South Coast. Ningependa kujua zaidi kuhusiana na hiyo, sababu sijasikia hilo jambo vizuri. Na kuna mtu alisema kulikuwa na blueprint ya development ambayo ilitupwa ya Mombasa ama ya municipal ya zamani. Ningependa kudhibitisha tulikuwa nayo, lakini ilikuwa ni kutoka miaka 1971 ika expire 2000. It was only a 30-year plan. Na kutoka 2000, the next which we made was in 2015, which was the Mombasa integrated strategic urban development plan. Na hiyo ndio ipo kwa sasa, na hiyo ndio tunatumia. Kwa hivyo hakuna plan ambayo tunatumia plan hiyo ambayo tunaita ICDP ama Vision 2035. Na singependa kusema ya kwamba department ya planning is a failure, bali kuna ile jambo ambapo lazima realize mji wetu ni mdogo, na pia kuna mambo ya compensation ambayo inafanya utekelezaji wa miradi ambayo inaleta uwiano katika maendeleo ya mji kuweza kukua na kunufaika. Kwa hivyo ile issue ya kuweza kusema kuna maeneo ambapo majumba makubwa yanajengwa, sioni kama hilo ni jambo ambalo ni geni kwetu, kwa sababu mji ulipoanza kwanza, hii town hapa ilikuwa ni slum. Hapa tulipo kwanza ilikuwa inaitwa Highland, ilikuwa ni mji ambao umejaa shanties, na hizo shanties zikaweza ku give room kwa nyumba kama hii, ambapo sasa ni hoteli na imeenda karibu ghorofa kadhaa. Jambo ambalo sasa tunafaa kuulizana ni maendeleo ndio shida ama ni utekelezaji wa maendeleo? Kwa sababu sote tumekubaliana ya kwamba maendeleo lazima itekelezwe, sivyo? Lakini jinsi inavyotekelezwa ni vipi? Sivyo? Na hapo ndio planning inakuja, ndio? Kwa hivyo it's not an issue of if development is good or bad, but utekelezaji wa development. Na ukiangalia hii flyer pia nimeona theme inasema role of resident association towards realization of controlled and sustainable urban development. Kidogo nilikuwa na wasiwasi nilipoona hilo jina controlled, kwa sababu tukisema ni control tutakuja tuambie mfanye hii, alafu mseme hapana, mbona mnatuambia tufanye hii, ama tuseme wale ambao wanaweza wafanye hii, alafu bado mta complain, sio? Kwa hivyo jambo lizuri la kufanya hapa ni kuweka mikakati ya kuweza kufanya planning which is collaborative. So kufunga, ningesema ya kwamba katika one of the recommendations tunaweza toa hapa ni kuangalia jinsi utekelezaji wa planning ambapo itatumia collaboration na resident association inaweza fanyika sana sana kwa mambo ya design. Na design inahusiana na kima cha nyumba, kina cha nyumba kile urefu kinaweza chukua, na pia overall vile inachukua inamira mji, yani inaweza kuchukua kama ni mambo ya old town, coastal design, ile ambayo haitoi ile illustration ya mji ambayo ni ya zamani. Kwa hivyo ningependa kusema nimefurahia sana kuwa hapa na nimeweza kuchukua maneno mengi na kuweza kuenda kufikiria yale yote yamesemwa, lakini kibwagizo ni kwamba sote tungependa mji mzima, sio? Hata yule ako ofisini, yule ako hapo barabarani, yule ako mitaani angependa mji wa kujivunia. Kwa hivyo ni jinsi tunaweza kuja pamoja tufanye kazi pamoja. Na mnahakikishiwa kwamba department haija fail kwa jambo la kutekeleza wajibu wake, bali kuna changamoto. Kwa hivyo changamoto si failure. Kwa hivyo tukue na hayo mawazo, na ningependa sana mtutembelee. Wale wanasema hawajui maofisi ziko wapi, ofisi yetu iko pale Bimatawa 3rd floor. Ukikuja pale utapata tu department ya Lands, Urban Planning and Housing, na tutaweza kukusaidia jinsi ungependa. Asanteni.
Kwanza nataka kushukuru sana mwakilishi wa Kenya Institute of Planners. Kenya alikuwa amesema, ameongea ni ile kitu nilikuwa ninaomba watu wa Kara na Residential Association waendelee kuwa kubwa na they can reach the full capacity. Kwa sababu gani? Ile vitu tutaongea leo na ile maswali nitajaribu kujibu, zingine touches on other departments. So even to Kara, maybe a just suggestion that when we have these meetings, you create side committees to follow up on specific issues, so that the next meeting, maybe mtu wa section ya Nyali itaripoti juu ya hii, section nyingine itakuwa follow up juu ya hii. Tumesikia changamoto mingi sana. I know tumelemea planning sana. For example, Fidel Odinga Road, Chief alisema, lakini kwa sababu watu wa barabara hawako, hatujui pengine hiyo barabara imejaa kwa sababu hii barabara nyingine inajengwa. Tuliona Makopa Bridge ilijengwa na vitu mashida ya kufika airport in 3 hours zikaisha. So some of these issues may not be solved by NEMA and planning. So we need those subcommittees if possible. That's a suggestion. Nafikiri swali ya kwanza kwa Madam Ali. Madam Ali, usinipige sana kwa kitu ulisikia ati watu waliripoti kwa NEMA na haikufanyika. I'd rather you come in person. We take complaints very seriously. Hata mtu saizi akitoka hapa aende NEMA, utakaribishwa, utaandikiwa ripoti, na hata kama mtu hajui kuandika, kuna watu watakuandikia ripoti, and there will be 2 copies. Utabaki na moja. NEMA isipokusaidia, kitu ya kwanza unaweza enda kwa boss wangu Nairobi, ama unaweza enda kwa ombudsman, which is free service, or you can go to National Environmental Complaints Committee, which is also free service. So we want to tell you something about enforcement, because we do not have enough staff. Tunaweza tuseme tunapitia mjengo za Likoni na tupitie mjengo. By the time tutarudi tuangalie mjengo zingine turudie hiyo, pengine vitu zinaweza kuwa zimeharibika. Pengine anaweza kuwa kwa ground floor, by the time tunarudi yako 3rd floor, and sometimes contractors like taking a bit shortcuts, na wanataka kukumbushwa. That is why I'm saying it's not that we do not monitor, but the challenge is tuko wachache, and we rely on most of you guys to report to us. Swali la Siwa, wakili, that is why I'm saying we need a team from Kara to be following up on this, because the people who actually develop the sewers is the Coast Water Works Development Agency. Coast Water Development Works Agency, hao ndo watu wa kujenga infrastructure. Mawasco ni kutumia tu. So hao wanajenga alafu wanapatia county. And if you even Google right now, wastewater master plan for Mombasa County, you will see that report. Google tu utaona, and you'll be able to download it. Juzi walikuwa na roll strategic plan. So I do not want to speak on their behalf. That is why I'm saying we need these subcommittees, EKARA, to be following up on such institutions, and maybe next time they'll be able to tell us what to Coast Water Works Development Agency wanafanya nini. But NEMA and Public Health, we have been doing enforcement in ukiangalia maneno ya sewage release. And right now, through funding of World Bank, wamefund MOASCO, and they are doing rehabilitation and extension of seaward networks in Mombasa, West Mainland, and Island. Hiyo ni project na mradi inafanyika saizi. Let me just go back to the issue of noise, particularly, and just to tell my friend, NEMA hatujaachilia noise, lakini the people who are enforcing noise is the county government, na si ati ni kurusha. Ukiangalia Constitution of Kenya, 4th schedule, tulipitisha Constitution siku gani? Zamani sana. It is no longer new. If you look at the 4th schedule distribution of functions, you will find that the noise, but we give, as Chief said, we work together. Kuna mtu alikuwa na hofia ya potable water, that means drinking water from Wachi Dam. Kulikuwa na hofia maji itapitishwa kwa the old petroleum pipeline. I just want to assure you that is not going to happen. Ile maji itakuja Mombasa, itakuja in clean pipes. That one NEMA has rejected. The issue of bars, as I said, now we need a subcommittee on this, because licensing of bars is not NEMA. NEMA, we only play a very small part of it. But because maybe of our effort that we used to go and close bars, but the people who actually license these bars is the liquor licensing board. And I would like if watu wa Mombasa, subcommittee ya Kara, where this thing is happening, that please approach this board and tuwasikie ama muweze kwa invite tusikie kwao next time. Asanteni sana. I would like to close there.
And as we wrap up, at this stage, I want to invite Dr. Gitambu to come and give us a summary of what we've discussed today and the way forward, as you just also wrap up the session.
Good afternoon, those of you who have left. Well, this has been a good session. You've heard a lot, hopefully learned a lot. But I have a few comments to make. Number one, I think we have to get out of this culture of kuongelesha watu and telling them stories of we shall leave no stones unturned. I worked for government for a long time. I know those stories. Laws are made to be followed. When you make plans for an urban environment, follow them. You will not be the first capital to be moved. Lagos moved their capital to Abuja because this is an island. You mess it up, you move. Okay? People already moved to Vipingo, are moving to Mtwapa. There is the whole of the lower south of Kilifi, and very nice roads. If you mess it up, people just move and the place dies. Urban planning is important. You're living there. It affects your health. It affects your psychology. There's noise and there's pollution. You know, there was a plan made, that one of 2015, passed by the county. Why on earth are we changing it? It is there. It's supposed to be there. This change of user. And as for the Department of Planning being responsive, how many times have we taken you to court? Must we go that way? Like Mr. Randu said, it's either a competence issue or another issue. Please, we all live here. We don't have other places to live. Don't just annoy people for no reason. You're unresponsive. You just give us lip service. All right? Okay? There was a case where you are enjoined, so you can't say you don't know. You can't have been having a case if you didn't know. The place is zoned. When you're buying a plot and it says ground plus 2, it is not my business that you're not going to make your money after spending 40 million. You should have known when you were buying it. You knew, all right? And the planner that goes around and tells you, yes, you can now build 20 stories. There's a case now in Nyali of someone wants to build 22 stories, another pastor. All right? We have complained for a whole year. Yet they go around and they come again. And then they go around again, then they come again. Then they go around again, they come again. Pakalini. Eh? Let's be serious. Okay? You're a public servant. Work. Do your work without fear or favor. And I think Katisia has given us a very good way out. All right? We're going to join together. All right? And this business of enforcement. Imagine I'm repairing my tiles and it's making a small noise. Cock, 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 cock on top of somewhere in my house in Nyali. And the county inspectorate comes in to ask me whether I have a permit to do alterations of there. Imagine, all right? Yet across the road is another story. We're not blind and we're not stupid, all right? Please, be reasonable, all right? We're going to now go for public interest litigations. We're going to do those court orders that Katisia has asked us for. All right? Yes. It is in the interest, it's in public interest. Mombasa will die if it is not done properly. In Nyali, all those tall buildings you see, by the way, they are all empty. All right? Anybody who can build a 12-story building and it remains empty for 10 years, it's called money laundering. There's nobody who will take a loan to do that. All right? So if you do stop this sort of nonsense, this theft that goes on may reduce because we will not allow. Do not allow. All right? It's your future. You know, it's our past, by the way. From here, we're going to nursing homes. So, we're talking on your behalf, all right? In Europe, people live in nice places. That's why you all want to go. You want to go to Europe because they build nice places. They also had slums and horrible places until they learned from experience that actually planning is not a bad thing to do, and then following your plan, all right? As per that plan of 2015, which we participated in, the urban planning was supposed to shift towards Utange and those very large empty areas, not to squeeze here, because here the roads have failed and there were no service provision plans. That's why the sewage is in the sea. How did a building which is 12 stories pour its sewage in the sea? Kwani mulikuwa wapi? Those guys who are coming to check on me should have come to check where the sewage. And biodigesters are not built and the Ministry of Health is never involved. All right? As for NEMA, I'm sorry. This issue of getting the watchman, the neighbor's dog, the neighbor's a passerby, and whatever to fill in their signature in the environmental impact assessment really has to stop. Can you automate so that you know who are the neighbors who are concerned? Not going, my grandmother, you visit, sign here for me. No, and you all know this. The problem is all these things are known. We're repeating them again and again and again and again, like a dance. Okay? The architects can help us. They know the laws. But they see no evil, they hear no evil. All right? As for enforcers of Mombasa, though, that's another case. So I think what we have to do is, Mr. Randu said, I don't know who said about residents associations. They're ever complaining. The ones of Mombasa are particularly organized and they're ever struggling to get their things done. No, it is not us. It is responsiveness, or lack of responsiveness, or lack of willingness. By the way, even you also live here in this Mombasa. Your children will live here. You'll suffer the same things we're suffering. Can you think of tomorrow? Just do what is right, all right? And I think now, you know why there are no tourists in Mombasa? And there's not going to be any tourists in Mombasa. So don't even think about tourists. All these houses you're building, Hakuna Airbnb is going to happen. You know why? Around 1980, Mombasa was designated as number 3 diarrhea capital of the world. It is in a WHO. This is WHO. It was not Maoni yangu. All right? Diarrhea capital. Why? Because someone would come here, they have 2 weeks, 60% will get diarrhea, 30% of those 60% will end up in hospital. What kind of a holiday is that? So the tour operators just katazed people from coming to Mombasa. It was not terrorism. It was a health issue. Diarrhea. And you well know why. All right? You put your sewage. I once had the embarrassing encounter of having to sit in an international conference, and we were talking about Tudor Creek. The concern was Tudor Creek is dead. All right? Only the prawns that you eat, then you come get diarrhea, and you come to me to treat you. It's dead. Why in the 2000s would you allow a tall building and then to allow it to put the sewage in the sea? What I suggest is the Jay-Z's go and put concrete in those holes there where the sewage is coming from so that it returns to the sender. We have to be practical. We have to do something, all right? We have to stop this nonsense. I mean, even in City Mall, we had an issue there. They used to pour their sewage on the road. Okay? But we knew what to do about that, so we did it. So they no longer pour sewage on the... Imagine a whole City Mall pouring sewage on the road, shamelessly. All right? And they had all the permits and everything tick, 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 tick. Please. All right? So the residents associations, where are we going from now? We're not going to come back here for the same conversation again next year. We're going to get organized. Katisia has told us how to. All right? So please, these things no longer. All right? You people who work for us, please, we're warning you. No more. We're coming after you. Because the laws are there, everything is there. So I'm not going to say anything else apart from that, but we have to act now. It is your right. If you bought a place where you're supposed to have ground plus 2 maximum, it is your right. It is not the right of somebody who bought a place of ground plus 2 until his investments has to be recouped. All right? That is called a vested interests when you allow them to recoup. So I think what we're going to do now, we have gone past our time. I think this has been a very good session. We need another session. And I think amongst ourselves in the coast area, we can have our own to private session to sort out some of these things. And I'm going to request Kara to create a sort of a hotline when things get stuck, so that you won't be pushed from the top, we can organize. All right? We rather cooperate. We all live here. Let's make Mombasa a beautiful city. What do we want? What do we want? Are we the only people, the people in this room, are we the only ones who want a beautiful city? No. Everyone likes, even people in the slums. You know, you can also organize slums. Yes. Yeah. I used to help out at Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a very clean slum. I used to go there quite. You can all, even slums can be organized. Those people who have ujuzi on how to do a drain can help. You know, we can live in a good place. We need to respect ourselves. We need to respect ourselves. And while you're authorizing these large buildings, think, you know very well that we do a census every 10 years. So you can do projections. See whether we actually need those many high buildings, all of them squashed in one area called Nyali, where there's no school, there's not enough water, there's not enough electricity, the police station ile of 1953, there are no hospitals, okay? There's no sewer, yet you find it very urgent to approve buildings which cannot be supported by your services. No, this can't be correct. We're not allowed. So, that is where we close. We shall not allow, it is our right to live in decent places, and it is in the Constitution. Okay? With that, I'm going to declare this session closed, and I'll just give to my...
Give Henry one last minute to maybe give a vote of thanks and, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, how did you find the session? Nani amesoma something new today? What's learned something new today? Excellent. That's part of the reason we came here today, just to learn and understand a few things as community leaders, so that we can be able to go to actualize. So basically, we've been able to know some of our roles and responsibilities as resident associations, and of course understand some of the laws that govern what we do in our respective residential areas. So the next step is to make sure that we actualize the good things, the good ideas that we have here. So my only plea is that wherever you are, if you belong to a resident association, please support that entity as much as you can, because with a strong resident association, you are going to be able to do quite a bit in terms of putting the government in check. So we are happy to work with you as Kara. We are happy to guide you through the processes. We are happy to just engage you so that you can be able to work with the government to make sure that things are being done the right way. I think the carry home today is that a strong community or a strong neighborhood will definitely make sure that you only allow the things you want to see in your neighborhood. Anything that you think is not aligned to what is required, you actually have the power to stop that and make sure that things are being done the right way. We have a number of laws governing urban development. So the other thing is, as part of just doing the role as a responsible citizen, is to know what these laws are, what they say, how they are useful to the work that we do, so that you can be able to apply them where necessary. So one of the things that we're also going to do, we are going to share information about the various laws that govern various initiatives at the community level or urban development, and of course, work with you so that these laws can, we can be able to make sure that they're being complied with or being applied properly. Otherwise, I want to thank all of you for creating time to be here today. I know we started a bit late, but I think it has been worthwhile, the session, and you have contributed to the success of this particular forum. And we thank you. As always, we're always happy to host you. We're always happy to have conversations. We're always happy to listen to what people are saying. I heard somebody from South Coast saying that we need to now have more of this session even at the South Coast level. Certainly, yes, we'll be able to organize that so that as many people as possible from across the country can be able to engage in this conversation. So I want to thank you all as participants for being here up to this particular time. Can we give a clap to Mr. Muga? It's called Basil Muga. With moderating the session. We are really happy that we've been able to get to where we wanted to get when we started the session. Of course, I can't finish without thanking our partners in absentia. As you know, we normally hold these forums with Hans Lidl Foundation, who have been with us for many years. And we appreciate them just for making sure that we have platforms where we can have this conversation. We've held similar forums across the country, almost in every county in this country. And I can tell you, it's amazing how people are eager to share what their experiences are and to engage leaders on the challenges they're facing. And of course, look at ways of how they can be able to work together towards finding solutions. So I thank Hans Lidl Foundation very much for partnering with us and making sure that this is a success and we continue engaging people on these issues that are of interest to us. Our friends from Law Society of Kenya, I know she's left. We thank them very much for coming to the forum and sharing their perspective. The Kenya Institute of Planners also have shared with us very useful information. I didn't see AAK, they were supposed to be here. I think they didn't make it. Our colleagues from the county government, thank you so much for sharing a perspective. I believe you've taken note of the issues that people are raising, and proper action will be taken on that. It's always a pleasure to host Bwana Lopo from NEMA. I think he's one government officer in Mombasa who will always show up when he's asked to show up, and of course engage the residents. Because part of the responsibility from the county government is for them to show up in platforms where people they're serving are, so that they can be able to listen, get feedback on what people think about their services. But most importantly, also tell us what they are doing about some of these issues that we are facing. So part of strengthening collaboration between the county government or between the government and the citizens is for us to have joint forums where we can talk freely about issues, not just meet in offices, but have a platform where we can talk freely, we can tell each other the truth, but most importantly, agree that we must join hands together and make sure that we have a neighborhood that we are all proud of. Like he said, even these people in government stay somewhere. Si hatu wanaishi kwa miti. Hao pia wakitoka kwa ofisi, wanaenda kwa nyumba zao, which is in a neighborhood somewhere, in an estate somewhere. And it is in their interest to make sure that where they are living, they can be able to be proud of it and live a life of dignity. So much as they work for the government, they're also residents. They also live somewhere, and it is their interest that the places where they're living is giving them a life of dignity. So thank you so much, Wanalopo from NEMA, for always being available for this kind of sessions. So ladies and gentlemen, with those few remarks, I want us to come to a close of this session. And of course, you can continue engaging, networking, as we have some tea and snacks. I know some of you have served yourself, but I believe there's still more. So you can continue interacting and just sharing our experiences so that we can be able to work together and walk this journey together. So let me request a volunteer to close for us with a word of prayer so that we can go and do other things. Nani atatuombea tukimaliza?
Mungu Baba mtakatifu, katika jina la Yesu Kristo, tunakuja mbele zako kwa shukrani. Kikao hiki tukikianza mikononi mwako, tumesoma mengi Baba ambayo wengine wetu hatungeweza kuyaelewa, na Bwana tumepata manufaa. Tunaomba ili Mungu tunapotoka hapa uende pamoja nasi. Zaidi ya yote kwa sababu ya manufaa ya kaunti yetu tunaiombea ili Mungu kapate kuibariki serikali kuu na hata serikali hizi za majimbo, na hasa serikali yetu ya Mombasa. Mungu kapate kuinufaisha, na yale ambaye Baba tumeweza kuyazungumza mahali hapa, wacha tukaone mema yakitendeka na jina lako lipate utukufu. tunajikabidhi mikononi mwako. Amani iwe pamoja nasi kama wananchi wa mji wa Mombasa, na hata tukiombea Kenya na serikali yetu, na hata viongozi wetu wa serikali na hata viongozi wetu wa kidini, wote tunawaweka mikononi mwako. Amani iende pamoja nasi na jina lako litukuzwe. Kwa haya tunaomba tukiamini kwa Yesu Kristo aliye Bwana Mwokozi wetu.
The Excellence Awards, the annual Resident Association Excellence Awards. We are in the process of having the one for these, putting it together. So we've already sent out requests for entries. Basically what we want you as a resident association to share with us some of the good things you are doing, whether it is on environment, security, urban development, so that that will be taken through a process of selection. And towards the end of this year, in late November, we'll have our usual gathering where we are going to celebrate and award the resident associations that have been able to do exemplary work in various areas of service delivery. So please, I know most of you have received that communication. Please make your entries. The deadline is 30th of September, that is 30th of this month. Make entries, share with us your stories, share with us your experiences, and let us see what you are doing at your respective level, and of course share with others who can also learn from what you are doing. So we request you, we urge you to please make your entries and let us celebrate the work that you are doing at the resident association level. This is part of way of encouraging you to do more and also showcasing your work to other people so that they can learn from you. So tafadhali, don't fail to do that. We look forward to receiving your entry. Asanteni sana and karibu for some tea and snacks. Thank you.